and so we have this standoff here. And in my view, what Anthropic has done is good, but it's nowhere near enough. And so I guess I would say, and some of the market response to that seems to be in agreement with Anthropic's decision to say, we're not going to concede to this. But I think it's like they need to go further. We need to have everybody go further because I think the safeguards are not nearly enough. The systems have a lot of issues, and as an example of that, um, uh, just within a couple weeks ago, I saw an example where someone managed within a couple of days to persuade the the Claude system to create some ransomware code for them, and it created it. And it's like, despite the guardrails that are in place, and so that tells me that's like the guardrails are not good enough. We need better guardrails, and we should use the systems that provide the stronger guardrails. That's my
Yes,
view.
yes. So you bring up a very good topic. I guess for the limit of time, we cannot talk more about that, but we can probably spend another 30 minutes talk about AI sovereignty. AI sovereignty is an important topic. It's not just for the human, like your individual. It's for company and even for the country. Okay, so who own the data? Are you just throw all your data while you are enjoying like the convenience of all this LLM? But in the meantime, you are trading your soul, which is your data, yeah, to this AI engine. So you, as David said, there's a guardrail there. Everybody promise, everybody guarantee there's a guardrail. But if you know a little about AI, you know it's almost impossible. You
Yeah.
probably get 99% protected, but that 1% will kill you.
Yeah, that could.
Yes.
So
So one of the problem with AI is it get 99% right, but that 1% is always bothering you.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think we have about 1 minute left. I don't know if there's any questions that anybody wants to ask. I mean, this is a big topic.
Yeah, it's a big topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you look at like say intelligence scale at a rapid pace like it is right now, exponentially increasing, with the abundance of intelligence that we're moving towards, how exactly do we scale governance, which is essentially the weakest thing that's going on?
You're talking, yeah, how do we scale the governance of, yeah, which is exactly right. And that's one of the things. It's like uh, we're not doing nearly enough on that. It seems like the focus now is just like focus on just like, oh, we want to be the first to do everything, and therefore let's just kind of think about that later. And I
Yes.
think that's a problem. So
Yeah.
I, I I see more and more examples that I'm that make me very very concerned.
Great
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
Yes, but no answer.
yeah.
Yeah, we talked to this executive for the Fortune 500 big company like a Walmart, and then there's no answer.
Yeah.
I think we are.
Yeah, well, I'll have
Yeah, no,
questions.
just go ahead.
But
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
one of the things that I've seen, and I don't know enough to study it, but it seems like part of the layoffs that we're having and saying it's due to AI is a question of, well, is it really AI or not? Is it just a good excuse? And I think at least some of it, I think, is it's using it as an excuse. It's like, wow, this is great. We can lay off a bunch of people and not have to feel bad about it. So I think there's a portion of that that's going on.
Yeah, Roger that.
Yeah,
So that's pretty much end
yeah.
of
I
our.
think that's our time.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thanks,
thank you very
everyone.
much.
All right, a big thank you to David and Wayne for sharing some thought provoking insights and perspectives with us. Please join me in welcoming Protho Care. I apologize if I said that incorrectly. Up to the stage. Let's welcome him up. He is the global head of AI strategy at Radiant Digital with a big round of applause. Here he is. Let me give the microphone to him.
uh, you tried your level best, but the name was not accurate. So I just wanted, you tried your level best, and I really appreciate that with the name. You did a really good job. Thank you. Uh, so we had a really interesting conversation some time back, and I was listening, right? It's all about the layoffs, how Anthropic is making new announcements. And it looks like that every week there is a new announcement, and every month there is a new set of layoffs. And when I combine all that information together, that what is going on, I call it as AI paradox. And we are going to talk a little bit about that today. Does that sound exciting or boring since morning we are having that? All right. So, how many of you are actually using AI? I mean, your companies are using AI. Almost everyone. And how many of you are actually seeing the revenue impact? The P&L is getting improved. Only few. Okay. So that's the problem. That's what I call it as AI paradox. The record spending is going in this area, mass layoffs are happening, but still companies are not able to see the result, what they are anticipating. And that's the problem all the companies are facing right now. And we are going to uncover the reason behind it and what should be the playbook for a ideal tech company CEO to overcome that paradox. All right, so is everybody with me? Uh, Not working. Oh, now it is. All right. No, this is not working. Yeah. Okay. I think we are in the beginning. Oh, okay. All right. So this is the AI paradox looking like. In 2026, companies are planning to spend around $665 billion. And till now, almost 150,000 jobs has been lost. Yet, there are multiple studies coming in the market which is telling that 95% of the pilot which are actually going in the AI, they are all failing. They are not able to make it to production. They are not able to make any revenue impact. So why is that happening? But a lot of people will argue that these are the numbers and anybody can play with the numbers. So let's look at the human side of it and let's look at the impact of these numbers on people like me and you and the industry. This is the breaking news. Every now and then, whenever we open our news websites, this is what we keep on hearing. Amazon is planning to lay off 30,000 people. Block is planning to reduce their workforce by 40%. Oracle is laying off 30,000 people. And that news is kind of new normal. And that is kind of coming every month, every quarter. On an average, every day in 2026, 740 people are losing their job to AI. I'm not even talking about any other reason, just AI. So why is that happening? That companies are spending, I'm going back to my first statement that the record number of spending is going into the AI, yet the results are not there. So if you consolidate all the information, what is coming out? That companies are cutting people to fund AI, which actually doesn't work. And why is that happening? Because it's not like that the companies are just the money minded people, they love firing people, they love cutting the workforce. It's not like that. There is another side of the market where we are hearing a news coming from DeepSeek is wiping down 17% in the stocks for Nvidia. There is another news coming out from Anthropic when they launched their new model and the Cloud Code. It literally wiped down 8% of the entire valuation of IBM because now they proved that the companies does not need to run on the mainframe system. They can modernize it with the help of AI. And what message is actually going in the market with all these news to the CXOs, CEOs, chief product officers, marketing officer? We are next. If companies like DeepSeek, Anthropic can disrupt the business, what NVIDIA and IBM is having, we are the next. Next day, another solution is going to come, which is going to have the same impact on us. Think it in a way. I have the Indian heritage. I born in India, I raised in India. India has an entire IT industry worth $285 billion. And the industry has been built that you don't need to pay $150 to an engineer or a software developer in US when you can get the same work done in $50 an hour in India. Now guess what? You can get the same work done with the help of $25 per million token in US. So it's not just impacting the balance sheet of the companies, it's disrupting the economies at a scale. And every company trying to make sure that they are also cracking the code so that it will not disrupt their industry. If Amazon is going to spend $200 billion in AI to make sure that they are not next, Microsoft is also going to make sure that they spend at least $150 billion in the same technology because they want to be on the edge. Now, after all this record spending, why things are still not working? Do you guys get that question a lot? I mean, the frustration from your CEOs that, hey, the AI adoption is not there. I want something to change drastically. Why my people is not adapting AI? I'll tell you the reason. I had a similar discussion with my CEO. He asked me the question that why my developers are not using model X. He named an Anthropic model. I'm not just naming it here. And why they are not doing all the software development 100% with the help of AI. Why still manual touches are required? And the answer I gave him that that's not true. The AI adoption is happening in the company, but in pockets. How many of you people actually use generative AI to write your email today or take some assistance? Almost everyone. But the developers are still not doing it. You know why? Because you know in the email what you actually want to say, what you want to communicate, and in which tone you want to communicate. Who is the audience? But when you are going with AI, when it is generating the code, when an agent is going and fixing an issue in the real system, in the turbine, in the engine, in the software, you don't even know what is the desired outcome, whether it is going to provide the right solution to you or create another problem. So the problem is not technology. The problem is that humans are not able to validate at a scale the output of AI. That's why the AI adoption is slow. And people sitting on the top, they have that realization, but somehow they don't want to admit. I had a discussion with a CIO in a Fortune 10 company last month, and the conversation was really interesting because first he started, we showed him a transformation project, and we showed him that hey, you got a quote from a big four Indian IT company for 9 months and X dollars. We can do the same work for you in 3.5 months, X and a half dollars. So we are cutting down your cost by 50% and we are getting the work faster for you by at least 60%. You know the response what I got? But Praful, you are not using humans now. It's a machine. So why are you even taking 3.5 months? It could have been done in a week. All you need to tell the machine to do the transformation. The problem is not doing the transformation. The problem is actually validating the transformation. And that's where the crux is going. Now, if we talk from the company's perspective, why they are facing the problem, there are three issues. Number one, there is an obsession for the tool, for the platform, for the model. Every time I go to people, they always talk to me about that, hey, this is the new tool we are using. This is the new model has getting dropped and it is kind of doing wonders for us. And that conversation is common on the floor. Second problem is pilot paralysis. I can guarantee you, you go to any company, there are at least 100 pilots running on AI, and 80% of them does not even have a vision that how they are actually going to productionalize it. They just want to see whether the AI works or not. And the third and the biggest problem is the people disconnect. When I say the people disconnect, it's it's not about bolting AI into the fragile system. You need to understand the workflow and the mechanics of how your people are actually working today. You need to extract that institutional knowledge and the workflow, and then you need to integrate AI with that. That's the problem. I'll go back to the first point, the obsession about a tool or a model. I met a CIO 3 times. He's a Fortune 20 company CIO. I met him in October of last year. We had a very interesting conversation about AI and some code generation platforms. And he told Praful, we are using Copilot. Don't worry about that. Copilot will take care of everything. I said, but Copilot has these gaps. He said, yeah, but you need to understand Microsoft is spending billions. They will solve the problem. Great. Thank you so much. If you need help, please let me know. Again, I had another meeting with him in December. I asked him the same question that, hey, how the results are coming out with Copilot. No, no, man, Copilot is shit. Now we are using Cursor. Cursor is performing so much better than Copilot, and now we are transforming the world. My developers are doing this, that, boom, bam, boom. And that was another interesting conversation. So I said, okay, are you still realizing the problem or do you want to give it to another shot? He said, no, 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 we got it. We got it. I'll solve the problem. If it doesn't work out, I'll reach out to you. I had another discussion with the same CIO last month. I said, hey, how Cursor is working? He said, you know what? Cursor was better than Copilot, but it has its own challenges. Now we are switching over to Cloud Code. We came up with the new agents. Now it is having the complete CLI view, this, that, and all, and everything is going to be under control. I said, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. After 3 months, again, when I will come back to you, you will tell me the same line. And after 3 months, your CEO is actually going to take your job because you are just chasing the models and the tool. You are actually not doing any transformation. You are into that noise, right? And he get it. So we are having that conversation now that what exactly is the problem and what is the crux? I mean, what do we need in this AI world to actually do the transformation and see the result and unleash the true potential of AI? And that's not the model. That's not the tool. That's not the platform. That's the context. Context is the mode. How your industry is working, how your company is working, years of institutional knowledge, how you build the context and feed it to the AI so that it can work for you. That's the biggest problem what the companies are facing today. And that's where they need to impress upon. Now, the solution for this AI paradox, what we are seeing, number one, stop chasing the model. Whether you are going from Gemini to Anthropic, Anthropic to ChatGPT, every 3 months you are going to have a new model. You cannot just depend on that. You need to make sure that you are using these model as a commodity in a plug and play fashion, but your entire strategy cannot be built around it. Don't replace your existing system. Don't just start thinking about that, okay, I can see some light that ChatGPT can generate the code. I don't need 20,000 developer. You need the institutional knowledge what these 20,000 people has, and you need to transition from here. Instead of thinking about how you can cut costs, you need to think about how you can achieve more. What new revenue stream can be opened with AI? Don't run multiple disconnected pilots. Identify the top three problem statement what your company is having, and then work backwards to solve it. Go with your end state that what you actually want to achieve and work towards the plan. Otherwise, everything is just going to become the science project. So the essential message what I'm actually trying to deliver, the models, tools, platform, all these things are commodity. If not one, you will have another one. Context is the mode. That is the power to truly transform your organization with the help of AI. And that's where you need to focus on. Now, from a CEO's perspective, how their playbook should look like. And that's the true conversation what I am having with my CEO, and then the company which I am leading, I'm having with the team who is working on that company. The playbook should start with the problem statement. What exactly are you trying to solve? What is the impact of that particular solution into your business? Is it going to save ton of money to you? Is it going to generate additional revenue to you? If yes, then let's see how we can solve that problem. If it is going to be a fancy toy, then you don't need to channelize and focus your energy in that direction. Instead of thinking about that everything is bad, think about that how you can integrate AI not into your brittle system, but into the workflows, into the institutional knowledge what your people has, and increase the productivity there. And you are not going to get the 100% increase on day one. It is going to have a slow start. You need to start from somewhere, get to 20%, 25%, 30%, and go from there. Context is your moat. I already delivered that message multiple times, right? And the next buzzword which is going to be the in the industry is not about the model, is about the tokenomics. Did anybody heard that word, tokenomics? So companies who are seriously using AI, they are now thinking about how many tokens they are burning and what is the cost impact of that. Companies like Microsoft, they're smart enough. I mean, in their Copilot, they are providing you all the models, but they are doing the downward throttling. So the moment you make 100 queries to the high reasoning model like Opus, they will downgrade you to GPT-40 and let you make unlimited queries, full of hallucination, full of issues, right? So that's what happening today. So you need to make sure your context is separate from your model and your context is getting transitioned across these different models. And then one thing where you need to put your relentless focus is the measurement of the outcome. You need to have your teeny tiny goals like weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, all going towards the big objective what you want to achieve. And then you need to track the progress. And that's how you're going to take one step at a time and truly going to embrace AI to its true potential. And that's what is the need of the hour. And that's where my final punchline comes into the play. Companies are focusing today that how to adopt AI. When they are focusing today how to adopt AI, I'm literally having that conversation with multiple enterprises and the government agencies and even the small businesses. And the conversation is all about that I'm tracking the GitHub. How much of the code is actually generated by AI versus how much is being written manually. And that's how I'm evaluating my developer. Oh yeah, people are generating some junk code. Is it solving your problem? No. Check-ins are there, numbers are there, check mark is there, AI washing is there, results are not there. So companies don't need to just adopt AI so that they can go into the CEOs can go into the boardroom and say that hey, we are AI enabled, we are AI first, and so on. They actually need to adopt it for their business. They need to understand where AI is going to reduce the friction, and that's where we need they need to bring it on. All right. So this is my final presentation. This is the last slide for today, and then we will go back to the question. So the message, what I was trying to deliver here is AI is a double-edged sword. The type of investment which is going into the AI, even the biggest bubble in the tech industry, which was the dot-com bubble in early 2000, the investment in AI is far more than that. So there is a record investment on AI. There are mass layoffs all over the place. Still, companies are not able to see the return. Actually, the layoffs are the result of the investment because companies need to justify it. So how companies can solve that problem? By three simple solutions. Focus on the context, not on the model. Integrate in your existing business workflow rather than just throwing them away. And last but not least, adopt. Sorry, adapt, not adopt. That's all from my side. I'm open for question if you have any. Go ahead, sir. That's an amazing question because the beauty of the context is it's going to be a living thing. I'm not going to talk about the mechanics that where you are going to store it. Is it going to be on your cloud? Is it going to be on your database? Is it going to be in some document? But it is going to be a living thing where you are constantly keeping it separate from the model and you're constantly updating it. Today, what is your context based on the dynamics in the business, how they are changing? Tomorrow, you are looking towards a different value in a particular field. So that is going to be an adaptive thing. Anybody else? Any other question? Dan? So when I say the living thing, right, it's not like that you define the context today and it is going to be static like that. Every day, every week, every month, it is going to adapt with the new business dynamics. Perfect. Go ahead, ma'am. Absolutely. And see, the different industries are having different problems. I talked a lot about the software development and code generation because most of the industries are having the problem. But when we are talking to our customers in the financial industry, they are talking about the operational resilience a lot. They are talking about that how they can minimize the outages, the cyber attacks, the security attacks, and all these sort of things. And that's where another element of AI, which is not your generative AI predominantly, but which is about your agentic AI and the AI agents comes very, very evident. Yes, sir. Absolutely. What we have done, we have built something called agentic data framework. So the problem what we started seeing with a lot of data solution which is available in the market is starting from Azure Data Fabric to Palantir and all of them require you to dump your entire data into a single data lake. And that's where I think the problem starts because in the enterprise world, moving that amount of data, the petabytes and petabytes of data in one single data source and keeping it up to date without any duplication and issues, keeping it fresh is a challenge. So this agentic data framework, the way we have built it, that the data does not come to the intelligence. Intelligence goes to the data in the form of the micro agent. And those agents go to your data, extract the ontology out, and then they do the semantic integration. So now the only source which is centralized is the ontology and the metadata. And when the need arises, I know in which system, which database, which platform I need to go to fetch that information. And within seconds, we are fetching that information and acting upon that. Absolutely. They complement it rather than replace it. Yeah, they complement it rather than replace it. See, if there are platforms like Palantir, there is no solution which can replace them at this point of time. What our solution is doing is to enable Palantir so that it can work better with their AI platform and all these sort of things. So this agentic data platform is optimizing it and complementing it, not replacing it. Another advantage, and I'm just going into this, right? One solution what we launched called Talk to Your Data. And when I'm talking about talk to your data, all the people are using Siri, Alexa, and all these things, right? Not that type of data, the enterprise data. And when I'm talking to that enterprise data, what I'm actually doing with the same agentic data platform, as soon as the question comes from the user, my platform understands that which system, which database is having the answer for that. Is it in the data? Is it in the logs? Is it in the Word document or PPT? Then the micro agent is going pulling it. Correct. All right. Perfect. All right. Anything else? I think we are good. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for giving your precious time and listening to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, what an inspiring journey so far. And a big thank you to Prafo for sharing those powerful perspectives. As we look ahead, there's a pressing question every leader must consider. With intelligent tools transforming operations and decision making at lightning speed, how do we ensure that we remain indispensable? How can organizations leverage automation without losing the human touch that drives creativity, judgment, and connection? These are the challenges at the heart of today's session. In Are We Automating Ourselves into Adolescence, our panelists will explore strategies for redesigning roles, workflows, and leadership models to stay relevant and future ready. They will share practical insights, forward thinking perspectives, and lessons from organizations navigating rapid technological change. Please join me in giving a warm round of applause as we welcome our expert panelists to the stage. We have Michael Terlizzi, Rick Sock, I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrect, head of digital and digital results. We have Jev Ray, principal advisor at Mavericks LLC. Dragana Linfield, senior director, technology consulting at Ernst& Young, and Vivek, I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly, Mahendra, managing partner at Vivekta Advisory and Creatives. Let's have them take it away.
You want me over there? Yeah. Switch me. Okay. Hello, man.
Oh, I never heard myself say that out loud.
A little tight, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. So, welcome to our panel about AI and whether or not we're going to automate ourselves into oblivion. I take a middle ground on this. These panelists, wonderful panelists, all have much more expertise. I'd like them to go ahead and introduce themselves, starting from the back and coming back this way.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Dragana Linfield, and I have over 25 years of experience at the intersection of technology, innovation, and business. Most recently, my focus has been machine learning and AI. And currently, I'm working at Ernst& Young, helping 500 Fortune companies innovate in a better way so that they can reduce cost, increase revenue, and also elevate customer experience. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vivek Mahendra. I think you were very close to the bivak that you mentioned, so it's almost there. I have about 35 years of experience, but I think in the space that we're talking about, it has democratized that completely because your experience doesn't count. All of us are in the 5-year experience range or so. So I think let's first of all acknowledge that part. That's very important. I run an enterprise architecture advisory firm. I work with Fortune 1000 companies in helping in their AI adoption strategy. A lot of interesting things that Praful mentioned in the conversation last time resonate with what we intend to be talking about now. So look forward to an interesting conversation.
My name is Rick Saki. I'm the head of digital at Digital Results. We are a digital marketing firm that specializes in looking at how AI can help being seen within search engines, within a lot of the agentic systems that are coming out, and then setting up for success in the future. And again, we've seen huge changes. I've been doing digital marketing for more than 30 years. And, we were talking earlier, programming and laughing at some of the things, programming with punch cards, that kind of dates how long I've been working with computers. So, and just how things have changed.
Hello, Jev Ray, and founder and principal advisor at Mavericks. And
Primarily at Mavericks, we actually work with a lot of startups, all AI native startups, that is, that seed through about Series D, just about, with Palantir being the one exception, I guess. And essentially just work with them to build our engineering teams. But more recently, my focus has actually shifted towards building out a new AI infrastructure layer for the systems in and of themselves. So essentially a cognitive substrate, very much similar to what's been talked about just recently here on the stage about context, really, but building context into an infrastructure, if you will, or more specifically cognition for models.
Great. And my experience with AI is much less extensive. I do have I have been studying it, and my opinion of it is that will it automate us into oblivion? I say maybe, but only if we let it, because if we let it do the thinking for us, if we let it do the work for us, then our brains will atrophy, will regress to the means of society, and just become, you know, average at best. And that's my worry with AI automating. We automate the tasks, we automate the thinking. I'm not scared of the Terminator scenario where the world blows up. I'm scared of the Matrix scenario where the agent tells Neo, once you let us do the thinking for you, well, where are we now? We have to choose. How are we going to do the thinking or not do? Are we going to learn the craft or not learn it? Are we going to let AI do it or not? But with that, because that's my opinion, I'd like to shift over to Dragana, who has experience working at MIT, sees tons of use cases, right? What is the most common use case you see?
Yes. So what is really surprising is that across all industries, there is one common theme, which is how can we convert the data of the company, each enterprise, into strategic asset. So that is something that is happening. So when I teach at MIT, the leaders and executives who come from different industries, they have either already starting doing that or just preparing to start. So that means that all the data, which is actually the moat, as we've seen in the previous organization, it's not the model, it's the data that company possesses. They know everything about their customers. They have the data. So they have now stopped just collecting the data, but actively started using the data to understand what is going on in a company and to help them make business decisions. And so it's a universal approach. So what can they do with their data and what have we seen? The first thing we've seen is that the common use case is to use it for personalization. Use the data so you can personalize experience and journeys of your customers. And what better example than Netflix? We know that Netflix is a master in personalization, and even the thumbnails that you see for the same movie is always different than the same movie that I see, because they want to personalize to your preferences. So personalization is a very, very common use case. The second use case, which is very interesting, is in healthcare, which is to use the data, the massive amounts of data about the patients and the previous patients to understand at early stage where a disease is developing so that they can actually act on it and stop it and prevent it from that. So that's a second usage of data where you identify the patterns and you can at early stage have a cure and not just wait. And lastly, the common case, again, across the industries is to use the data to prevent churn. Everybody has churn, and we know that the cost of acquisition is much more expensive than keeping the customer. So what companies are doing is they are collecting the data from their customers, which is internal data. They're also collecting external data sources, all structured and unstructured data and metadata, so they can use it to predict, given user behavior, whether that user is likely to churn or not. And the best part of it, not only to understand the driver of it, but since you know the driver of his possible churn, you are going to act and intervene much earlier with the right next best action, which is another use of AI. So just to sum up this kind of use cases is companies are shifting from trying to understand what is going on to predicting it and preventing it. So that's what we've seen.
And it's interesting you mentioned Netflix because around the time I was still working in television, Netflix was a big when it started streaming was a big thing, and their whole philosophy was air your content for free. We'll give you a cut of the license. People will get into the show and they'll start watching. And Breaking Bad proved that point. look at the ratings, and then the ratings, then it's free. Boom, everyone watches it. But they hold on to their IP. But the Netflix one finally was the one that broke through. The personalization, the thumbnails, the things you want to watch based on what you've watched. Just don't let your wife get on, make a separate account. In any case, however, there are some things I think that should not be automated, right? That should be not maybe not be optimized, not automated. And I think, Rick, was that something you would?
Yeah.
He's got more expertise. For me, it's just healthcare. There's parts of healthcare, and there are parts of life critical situations. But Rick's got a more informed opinion, so
Yeah,
take it
so
away.
we've seen with clients, the biggest questions we always ask them up front is, where are the major touch points for your brand? Where is the public seeing you, and how is that portrayed? And it can be everything from a sales process or a customer service system that goes on. And you want to make sure that those still are like the last things that you would ever want to touch from an AI perspective. And a perfect example is Klarna in 2024, huge early adopter. They basically canned 700 of their customer service reps that were handling all of their clients because they were going all in on AI. They built out an AI system that was supposed to answer all the questions that people had. And just last September, their CEO basically had to come out and say it was a mistake that we went so far that direction, where you could take the same aspect and say, how can I use AI to be more beneficial? B of A, perfect example. They use auditory AI to listen to people at the very beginning of a customer service call. The issue was is they were only getting about 15% of the people that went through their customer service tree and talking to people that actually got an answer that they were really successful with. And so that number is really low, but it was something very consistent within the industry. Now B of A listens to the person as they're talking and answering the questions through their tree. And as that's listening to it, it's making decisions on who the person actually needs to talk to, whether it's at a supervisor level. It can also be things where they have regionality. So if somebody's talking and they may have more of a Southern discussion, and as they're answering the questions, they may put them being answered by someone that has a very similar dialect. Same thing for like New York. If you're going to talk to somebody that's from New York or Boston,
Hey, how you doing?
yeah, and they've actually moved the needle. They're almost at a 60% success rate in their customer service now, going through their phone tree system, and that's a huge opportunity because they still talk to people. Those personal jobs are there, but they found a way to use AI at the front end to just get them to the right person in a much quicker fashion. Vivek, you had some ideas too on that one. You had the three levels, right?
That's correct. So, although I may have a little more optimism to the whole scenario, only from a perspective that, so I think there are two interesting things. For the first time in so many years, as enterprise architects, we are in demand. We have never been in demand. We're always somebody who will be doing things in the background, and things may happen, or we will be accepted, not we would kind of thought the other way around. But as a fraternity, we see now for the first time, since when we talk about adoption of AI, it's no longer a plugin of an automation here or an acceleration there. It has now started becoming a more orchestrated, more deeper, and as Praful mentioned in this conversation, a more context-driven adoption. And I think the moment we go to more context-driven adoption, we are basically charting the path from strategy articulation to business process definition to information architecture to data architectures. And those are very, very interesting points that are coming in play, primarily from a standpoint of the three dimensionality that I talked about or I want to talk about. The first one is controls. So, interesting example. But if we were to look at customer support in isolation, and don't tie it back to a KPI which has a direct impact in terms of the business or a business impact. What we are actually doing is we are trying to fix a problem at a place where the problem actually doesn't exist. We are trying to fix a problem where it is a superficial expression of the output of a business process, never the business process itself. So I think important elements are that where do you put a control, and when you put a control, when I say control, controls are in facets of strategy articulation, data architectures, in terms of maybe, for example, governance and so on. So they'll come into play as a part of it. Now, you have to also look at a very different perspective here. controls also mean the way our organization looks at these things. So the moment we look at AI adoption, suddenly what is autonomy equivalent to augmentation are questions like who takes the decision on what the AI should take a call on and what it should not take a call on, right? And these are very interesting points that we have to look at. A lot of work that I do at this layer is working with the organizational capability definition and the organization design definition in terms of what the board will take as responsibility, what the business owners will take responsibility, what will be the role of an technologist now, because it no longer remains to be an IT system provisioner, but it becomes a controller, it becomes a guardrail setup, it becomes maybe, for example, an auditor, and so on and so forth. It becomes multiple such roles that kind of brings in play there. So one is the whole aspect of the capability definition and the aligned organization redesign. The second important element that comes in is the organizational change impact. Now, obviously the important area that brings in there is that are we a custodian of a process, and the AI happens to be one of the tools we use for doing that activity, or are we the chaperones of the process and we are using AI for better outcomes? Because in the previous session, as was mentioned, we cannot equate the knowledge the system will bring in there, but we have the control in terms of its emotional context, its business context, its contextual relation, everything. And I think that is something that has to be done by the role and not so much by the machine itself. So I think that's the second important aspect is how do we therefore bring in the organizational change. And the third aspect, and I think we heard that earlier today also, is whole thing about a playbook. Can this be repeatable? Can this be something that can be utilized? Can this be something which has guardrails? Can this be something which has the necessary controls for alerts when things are not going right? Are all those things coming into play? And I think that playbook approach, we've seen that adoptions very early on in maybe some functions such as say service operations, where we had maybe, for example, run books available for doing certain pieces of work. But run books are only one element of it. There are many other elements in terms of control point, decision factors, KPIs, and so on and so forth. So the whole idea is how do we assimilate this into a complete playbook ecosystem so that when organizations are adopting it, they're adopting it with an intent that they understand this whole correlation from design to chaperoning to execution, and the whole thing therefore has to come together as a part of the ecosystem. I think this is where a good segue comes in terms of uh, like how what are the governance facets? How do we control it? I think we had some good conversation last time. So hand back to you and
Well, I was just going to say, it sounds like what you were mentioning is all the possibilities of AI, but alignment on what are the guardrails. So you could have all be you. We can all agree on the guardrails and what that thing's supposed to do. But a computer will always give you what you ask for, but it won't necessarily give you what you want or what you need. It'll just give you what you ask for. Now, on a high level, I'm talking about low level, like, HR interviews and AI, HR. And you got two AI people talking to each other, and it's hilarious. And this is what people are doing. But that's pretty small scale when you think about strategic misalignment and the chances of nuclear war, which are 10 to 20% if we don't have the proper guardrails. Now, that's because AI hallucinates. Let's bring it back down a little, though, from that. Two, how do we stop AI from the hallucinating? I mean, what is that? That's the problem, right? Like the biggest problem in the world. And I think Jev
Yeah, I'll
may
chime
have
in
the
right there
solution.
actually, because the irony of hallucination or drift or loss of context. I mean, we're going to hear it in multiple conversations. I'm going to address it in this stage that the AI will do something wrong, i.e., will hallucinate or drift. And how do we really solve for that? In fact, Praful, he actually came up with a really good point there about context being the mode in order to avoid this. But it's not just context, because the thing about context is that how do you deal with very dense context? How do you deal with very complicated context? How do you deal with the context shifting even slightly or just subtly to some degree, right? And the solutions that really we're not really looking at here is how do we get the model to think as best as we want it to think? Because me personally, I'm a techno optimist, right? I don't share the sentiments with all the people about AI replacing people. I mean, I work at the frontier with some of these companies that are actively building foundational models, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that AI will never replace people. You can quote me on that. a couple years from now, I guarantee you. However, what it will do is augment people. AI in and of itself, you can look at it as second order cognition. And why I'm actually giving you this additional context is because, second order cognition, how we actually arrive there is by offloading or intelligence or offloading or thinking to the models themselves for it to return back, the answer, right? We don't go through that intense layers of critical thinking, right? We kind of just offload it to the model. But herein lies the problem. We offload that critical level of thinking to the model and it returns bullshit. Why does it do this? We want it to ourselves, right? But if you really think about it, the model in and of itself is not optimizing all the time to give us the right answer. And the problem with that is because it loses context. Back to Praful's point. However, to take that a little bit further, what I'm actually building in and of itself is a solution towards that, right? Because, what we're lacking is not just better context, right? Because it started with better prompting, right? That's what people are saying. Oh, you got to just prompt it better. Okay, cool. Put together 5 prompts. Now you have a prompt chain. Oh, now you're doing prompt chaining. Fantastic news. Now it's going to think better. No, it loses context again. Then we started talking about context engineering. Great. You're kind of setting a scaffold for the model to operate within. But then guess what? After a certain amount of time, it's just going to drift again, right? So you take it from context engineering now to institutional thinking, constitutional thinking, if you will, right? A certain set of not guardrails, but constraints by which the model can think within in order to think within a certain environment and also operate and optimize for better output in this case. Now, I'm not going to get into all the technical aspects of it. I don't want to bore everybody with all this stuff, but in order to kind of solve for this hallucination.
Would it be like the kid thing?
Yeah. No, in fact, this is a great example, actually. Well, not the one that you're going to go off, but there's an example that I kind of use.
I have a really good example. Not the one he gave me.
No,
This other guy.
because hear me out. So, AI in and of itself, we can all agree is an infantile stage, right? But it's a super intelligence in and of itself because it has all this knowledge. So imagine a 5-year-old trying to answer questions on calculus. Doesn't really know how to arrive at the right answer, but it just says it and it's confident saying it, exudes this confidence, but it's wrong. Now, if you really think about it, take that same child, and that child now, is introduced to a constitution set of laws, right? That gives it a governance of way of thinking or a more governed way of thinking. That child will now arrive at a better answer, naturally because it has a better way to arrive at that answer, right? And, another example I give you just to like chew on it a little bit further, think about us as human beings, right? Human beings without a constitutional set of governing laws will always collapse into chaos and mediocrity. A civilization without a set of governing laws will collapse into mediocrity and chaos. Likewise, a model without a set of governed laws will always just collapse into mediocrity and chaos, which we now know as drift or hallucination, right? So, I mean, just to kind of end that whole point, because I know I was a little bit long-winded, what we actually need is better cognition, not more memory, not better runtime, not better inference, because we have all of that going on in the frontier labs. Thank you, OpenAI and Google and Anthropic for continuing to push the limits of models. But what we need is better cognition, better ways of thinking, plain and simple.
I totally agree. I mean, this whole idea of faster and easier. Oh, look, I made this. It's so fast and easy. Well, is it good? Do you know what good looks like? Because I don't vibe code because I don't know how to code. I don't know what good code looks like. So why bother making code? I'm thinking I'm making the Mona Lisa. I'm making hand fingerprinting. Uh, and it also extends to like I see video AI, which I think Sora just went under, but I see people who have no idea how to make a film, make 8-second clips and say, "Look what I made! Hollywood's dead." I'm like, no, I think it's safe for now. But Hollywood should embrace AI. And we will not automate ourselves out of obsolescence in that industry. Now, how much time, man?
We got a good time, but I kind of wanted to chime back in on that point of us automating ourselves into obsolescence. Yeah, I mean I said it earlier. AI is not going to replace humans, right?
Right.
But that whole idea of obsolescence, kind of just like looking at us as people as being entirely useless in a consumer-based economy
Absolutely.
doesn't make sense. It's entirely incongruent, right? Because if we ourselves are obsolete, but we are the ones spending money in the economy, I mean, where are we going to head after that, right? And straight to the collapse. However, I will say that automation Once it's introduced in a way that we can identify the different ways to automate or workflow, automate our systems, we're already doing it in different ways. I mean, it's happened consistently over the course of human history. Automation is introduced in different ways, but whether or not we'll arrive at a certain place of obsolescence, I mean, without question, that's not going to happen. But what we can't see is over the horizon, right? What happens when this automation of intelligence now starts to kind of be more permeating in all of these various industries, right? And I think Rick, you had a good example of like, when you're introducing automation into the whole thing, like, so not just like brute force, just stuff it in there, but incrementally, right?
Yeah, bring it in different steps and test each level, and always be willing to say, this next step didn't work, bring it back. Um, Setting up your workflows is important, but as you're working and looking at a workflow for whatever process that you have, for whatever business that you're in, look at the things that can most easily be replaced with an AI and don't affect your brand, your trust factors that you have with your clientele and your customers, all of those things that ultimately lead to sales and conversions for your business. Those are the areas you have to protect and keep closest at heart. And eventually there may be some of those that you can release over to AI, but there are so many things right now that you can automate and bring in and let your people have more time to work in other areas. We use it from when we're doing optimizations for content on websites. We don't just ask AI to write new content for our website or change the content. We start to look and say, okay, why would we want to write new content for a certain page? Do we want to rank for something new on a search engine, or is it that we need to have better calls to actions on pages or an easier flow on a page? All those things are the start off points, and then you can build that into your AI structures.
Rick, before I want to hand it to Dragana, you reminded me,
Yes.
your tool of automation could have been so useful to Lucille Ball when that
Chocolate factory.
she couldn't keep track of it. That thing needed to be pared back, right?
Yeah.
So think of all the chocolates that could be saved. Anyway.
Yeah, I would like to share also my point of view, where enterprise should also look at reinventing its processes and a customer experience journey, because I think that if the enterprise continues just to put a plaster, use AI to put a plaster on a broken process, it's going to get out of business. And it's going to be replaced by an AI native enterprise that is going to take all of the customers themselves, because they're already thinking in AI way. And the reason for that being that when in a couple of months or a couple of years an enterprise wakes up and looks at a window, it will notice that the world has changed, that now the buyers are not people anymore, they are AI agents representing people. The vendors are not anymore vendors, they are agents of those vendors, and the whole process is changed. So from my perspective, AI should be used to reimagine the processes and reinventing the new ways of doing things. And with that also comes the new skills. So yes, if AI is better at doing something like reading 100 pages document and summarizing, let AI do that. But let's specify why and why humans and where humans are better, and actually analyze skill by skill. So redefine the process, reimagine the process, and then see who is going to do what role. And that's the winner.
I think we already know.
So can I just
go
make
ahead.
one observation? So I think there are two very interesting point of views, and I think this is coming. So this was a good example that was kind of brought in there. Uh, for two of my clients, there are some very interesting points of things or cases that we kind of picked up. One, obviously, as you know, that in the drug discovery life cycle, synthesis planning, which is typically to do the first molecular segregation in terms of which will be taken up as a part of the R&D process, and then the whole life cycle of how a molecular injection impacts a cellular structure or a functioning is typically driven on top of maybe, for example, a very strong neural network based ecosystem, which immediately detects patterns and changes and be able to kind of do a reflection of a impact of a molecular injection to a cellular behavior, which is basically what you as clinicians we look at when we look at maybe how cells behave, and therefore should we take this path to pursue to do a new drug, or should we eliminate this early on because it'll be detrimental from achieving its therapeutic goals. That's a very beautiful case. There is a very simplistic algorithm that exists. Facebook used to do it for facial recognition.
Mm.
If you give it to a cellular level, the same cellular structure changes are so evident that close to we've been able to look at something close to about nearly about 95% plus change impact impressions as an area which like how does the cell behaves when a particular molecule combination is given to it, and is it really addressing the therapeutic goal it is supposed to be. Now it is a simple algorithm which was just a simple visual recognition of a shape detection, which has now been taken into a role of this nature. Another interesting one that you see is also from a very live ecosystem, flights, the aviation ecosystem, where you see the flights taking off and landing, but you also have the whole aspect of disruptions. Uh, Let apart take out the disruption that may happen from a standpoint of a unnatural event, but a lot of disruptions in terms of the normal takeout can be due to holidays, social special events, can be due to maybe seasonality, can be due to maybe, for example, the time of the day and so on and so forth. Ability to detect anomalies here become a very beautiful case where AI can come and play a role. But in both the situations that I mentioned to you, both of them are coming in from a regulatory industry. Both of them are core business process of the of organizations, and for both of them, the efficacy of the guardrail becomes a very critical part. So how do you bring that efficacy on the guardrail? And obviously, goes back to a point, humans are not getting obsoleted because automation comes in. Humans will take up roles which are more governance centric, cognition driven, uh, to do maybe selection of choices between option A and option B, rather than maybe doing the whole calculation for what the option A and option B are.
Mm.
And I think that's a very interesting part, and that's where I think the contextual modeling in terms of maybe the guardrail ecosystem that gets set up become very critical for everything that we do. And I think that's a point I think we should take away, stating that maybe when we do it, let's not only look at processes that may be secondary in nature or are repeatable and highly but also processes that will be core to your business, yet can use technology to be able to enhance it and improve it and accelerate it. I think that's the point.
How crucial is it when you build the guardrails for the say you're developing software, new software? How important is it for the at the beginning part, front loaded, for everyone to be in absolute sync on what it is they're doing, why they're doing it, and really rack their brains for any failures of imagination on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, the highest.
I'd say it's
It's pretty,
10 because
yeah.
10.
I mean, you know,
10.
listen, like
Yeah.
when you introduce like say a model into a very complex process, and you know you were talking about needing to ensure that the whole like 99% like I guess hit rate, for example, I'll use that in this context, but that is just not enough to a certain degree, because once again, when you kind of extrapolate that over a long period of time, one number, like from even an accounting perspective, from a mathematical perspective, a difference in one digit can amount to a critical failure down the line, right?
Yes.
I mean, that doesn't really look like much of a big deal now, but once you start to scale the system and you realize that, wow, this failure mode started off as, oh, okay, a bug, and now it's quite frankly a complete system-wide failure. I mean, you really have to consider these things from the ground up, right?
You should
You have
see
to
my
build with that in mind, but not guardrails, because the idea of guardrails, and why I built the system that I built, or at least the infrastructure that I started building, is because I thought guardrails were just like, it's so ad hoc, right? We're thinking about, oh, what can we do to stop something that might happen in the future? But you're not really accounting for, the X factor, like all the various extraneous variables that might come up after the fact, right? You got to build a system from the ground up with it in mind that I need to account for every single fail state, every single fail mode. And I mean, the best way you can do that is to start with a constitutional layer, but also grow with an institutional way of thinking, right?
Mm.
And institutional meaning that context that the model in themselves are growing in, And I mean, we were started by speed off. We started with speaking about software first, but software in of itself nowadays all has AI implemented or integrated with it. So once again, kind of building from the ground, whereas, a constitutional like standpoint, scaffolding, but institutional in the sense that it learns and grows within that particular context.
So you don't have to tell it to.
So you have to tell it over and over again, hey, do it this way, do it this way, do
The
it this way.
child advance, like, but it's just like, yeah. So when you tell your kid, if you have kids, your 5-year-old kid, hey, get ready for school. Do you have to tell him first put on your underwear, then your socks, then your pants, then your shoes?
Yeah, it's like,
There are marginal cases. There are marginal cases. But what this software can do is intuit. Oh, get ready for school. I'm not going to need to be told how. Whereas other software that doesn't have it is going to come walking out of the room with their underwear on their head, their pants, as their jacket, and their jacket as their pants, because they didn't know exactly what order to do. They just knew to put on this stuff to get ready for school.
yeah.
And
No
that's
context.
it's a really good example. And I wanted to give his example a little bit more light there because like to put it into context, right? You're on chat's interface and you type in same deal like a child, like go get ready for school. And chat now starts to optimize how quickly it can answer, i.e., in this analogy, the child comes running out of the room, shorts on his head and a sock on an arm, and it's like, wait a minute, that's not what I told you to do, right? But
It is though. You asked the
but it is
you asked the
technically.
computer,
But I
and the
only use
computer
80
didn't give you what you
tokens.
want. What'd you say?
Right? You only use 80 tokens. but now, once again, to tie it back to context, you tell the child, put your shorts on your legs, pant one leg
Yeah.
at a time,
Yeah.
put the shirt on your back, right? And it comes out fully dressed.
And they
But
look.
then you tell the child that over and over and over and over again, and then one day it comes out with a sock on the arm again. You're like, dude, why are you doing this?
Dragana, could I
Yeah,
get your
I
take on
just wanted to also talk about a very important concept that builds on what your guys saying, which is called evaluations. Evaluation of the
Evals.
performance of different part of agentic solution. And this is because most people think when they launch agentic solution in enterprise, done.
No.
No, that's exactly when the life cycle of agentic
QC.
product starts. And from that moment, you always have to be evaluating the performance and you have to have all of the KPIs, you have to have all of the logs because the model can drift. And the most important part is that AI is based on data. So garbage in, garbage out. So if your data changes in the process, even you didn't make any mistake, you didn't break any constraint, you didn't break anything that you define as a policy, it still may give you wrong result because models are not deterministic, they are probabilistic. So in order to counter that effect and the nature of LLM, you need to evaluate every part of the system. And that's a really a special place in agentic solutions, and it's called evaluations.
And there's not just QC up front, but there's got to be quality control that goes on consistently as you're going through the process and make a realization. Just like humans are fallible, AI is going to be fallible in the same way. And when you find somebody that works for you as a staff member and they do something wrong, you don't yell at them. You basically go and you find out, okay, where did you fail? Where was the failure at? How do we fix it? And then build that into all of your future systems. So you're talking about the playbook idea. Those playbooks are going to grow over time, and you're going to be able to enhance, just like you were talking, as you add each of those guardrails that everything's going to go in. We can't assume that the guardrails that we build now are going to be working fine 8 months from now. There's going to have to be new guardrails and new things added in all the time. And so the really good schools that are teaching AI now are not just teaching the knowledge side of it. They're having whole classes on ethics. They're teaching them, what's a process, how to look at workflows properly, how to analyze a workflow and see if there's things that are wrong with it in the current system, and then make adjustments. All of those things are what they're teaching in order to get around that whole aspect of not having the jobs in the future.
But what you mentioned there is the teaching is that this is really what I'm worried about is that our brains as a species are going to atrophy. We're just not going to be good at anything anymore, except for the exceptional few who actually care. Because we all had to learn how to write. We all had to learn how to do math. We had to take Latin and French and all that stuff. And now we can apply that critical thinking to AI. But the generation coming up with no jobs in the lower levels how are they going to learn? Where is wisdom to come from?
So
I think it's the opposite, actually.
me too.
I
I agree.
actually think
You
it's
think
the
wisdom
opposite.
comes from
I
AI?
think it's the most amazing time to be alive because the things you can learn
Oh,
used
no,
to
I didn't
take
say that.
years. And now with one simulation, the example was the protein fold. The things that you can build on top of that, because it has been democratized. Like you can literally look forward to wake up and start working on that, because you can see the result of your work so much quicker, and also it's tangible result because you can save lives.
The intellectually excitable,
Yes.
active person will, yes. What you asked before, what is the thing that differentiates? If we can automate everything and sequence everything, well, then what differentiates us is what will it be? What will it develop? It's been here the whole time. It's the human ability to create new things. It's creativity. The one thing machines do not have. They don't have emotions. They're stochastic parrots. They can say love, but they don't know what it feels like. They can say lost. They don't know what it feels like. And that's what LLMs do. They say words, but they don't feel them. And that's the problem with that.
But I actually wanted to piggyback off of what Dragana was saying there, because I also share her sentiments, like the optimism about today's day. Because the funny thing is that most kids in college these days, I mean, her as a professor, she sees this all the time. Kids will just hop on GPT, generate a paper, boom, I'm done, right? And quite frankly, like, of course, once again, this is the reason why I'm building what I'm building, because if we allow for, the system in and of itself to not do these things, then we'll be in a better world. But effectively, if these kids in college are able to gain access to information this quickly, the curriculums will change because they are able to now assimilate information that much more quickly. Now, I'm not saying that they should all be on GPT all day generating papers and then just not thinking about what they're doing, but they should be taking more time to really think about the different aspects of what they're writing in the paper, right? Their hypothesis, how they arrive at that hypothesis, and the structure of their thinking, but with AI involved. Because, when we think about it, we're talking about AI amplifying everything that we can do. AI can also amplify the rate at which we learn. However, we don't want it to just tell us what it is, because we all seen this, that we can't just rely on it just to tell us what it is, but we want it to tell us, how to arrive at a specific answer. We take that now and we kind of do it in a somewhat of a recursive loop to kind of start building upon our answers, building upon our hypotheses.
How to check on primary sources. I always, whenever I make a statement, I go back to the very first source, because
Verify it.
Yeah,
what was
yeah,
that?
valid.
You like that too?
QC?
Nerds. Because I can't trust it. If I don't see where it came from and that document, I don't trust it. And especially ever since ChatGPT told me that Predator was Rocky and Aliens.
The movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Predator, the movie Predator. What's wrong with that? Rocky and Aliens, you get Predator. Rambo plus Aliens, you get Predator. And it didn't know that. And I knew that. So it gets a lot of stuff wrong. We call it hallucinations, but question? He's rubbing your hair. Anyone have any
But
questions?
we do have time for questions.
We do have time for. I,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
And you,
cognition I'm describing. Yeah.
and you can build that into like your agentic systems that you're doing, where you actually have it build in and do its own checking to make sure that it didn't mess something up. And if it does, go back to this step and start all over again. And the great thing is, it's not like it's lost time. Like if you had a worker doing that and you said, no, you're at step 8 and I need you to go back step 2, you've lost a lot of a lot of work that's there. But that isn't the same when we're dealing with agentic
So
systems.
very interesting. I think you brought a very interesting player because, for example, in-process check and in-process validation is a very interesting use case that can be picked up here, because what you're doing is you're actually putting a checker in real time, and it is not post facto. It'll accelerate the whole process, compress the whole process output time. I think that's a very interesting use case that can be picked up. And it's possible every place. It can be taken up for, say, a triage in a clinical situation. It can be taken up for legal document summarization in case of maybe a whatever.
surgeon too.
Many such issues can come and play there.
We were talking about earlier, not the actual surgeon, but the ability to have an acute ability to go to the millimeter, which is really important in surgery. The robot could do it. The person could say, okay, now make sure to not do this and do this, and the robot could do that perfectly. That would be a huge game changer because
Well,
That is
And I,
definitely
I also have
that is
one thing
happening.
for you as
yeah.
well, by the way. LLM as a judge. You should probably look that up. It's
mm,
something in practice right now in AI research
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
necessarily speaking, they're leveraging a model in order to verify and validate the output from another model. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I also think I don't know if you're already using it, but that some browsers like Perplexity and Comet actually synthesize answer coming from different LLMs,
Yeah.
and then they remove the outliers,
yes,
and then
and
yes.
therefore, exactly. But if you do go for a foundational model like LLM without that synthesis, my favorite prompt is critique your own answer, and then
Uh,
suddenly comes up saying this was not a good answer,
Mhm.
yeah.
and it gave it to me.
if anyone wants a Dan jailbreak to get the real, well, anyway, no, I agree. I totally agree. I think the one problem is it doesn't know its own limits, and it has a sort of like Anthropic studies. Did anyone read the studies they did with the model engineer and the AI tried to kill him because he was trying to shut down the process? Look it up. It's not. This is a. It was a test case. It was a test case. But I'm saying if you're asking, is it going to obsolete? We're going to get obsolete or become obsolete? Well, I would say dead is obsolete. But anyway, I think that's a no. You know what? Let's end on a high note. Who likes Abbey Road? Isn't that the best album ever?
More questions.
Do we
Anybody else
do
has
we
a
have
question
time?
though? Yeah. Yeah. We
Oh
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have time. White Album. We'll be talking. Anyway, other questions? Whose album is?
I think one of the things when we were talking earlier that we all agreed on, though, AI as it is right now is not going to take away as many jobs as what robotics
Right.
with agentic systems will do, probably in about 3 to 5 years.
Hmm.
And those are going to actually be the harder jobs to retrain people from,
Right.
to get them into other positions. So I know you talked earlier about, the jobs that have disappeared in the tech area. Um, the great thing is, I believe most of those tech people will find new positions and doing new things, and it could be in some of the AI areas or new areas that haven't even thought about. But the other jobs, I think, are going to be the ones that'll be the most difficult to try and
The
bring
tough
back.
ones are in my area, the content creation, because I can't say objectively, hey, that's better than that. It's up to judgment. And people who, it's not a fair market, really. A lot of people have bad judgment. So, what are you gonna say? Hey, but the guy who did the cinematography for Game of Thrones, or no one could see a thing, thought he did a great job. Anyway, we should wrap it up here. Positive note. White Album fan right over there. Stand up, take it up. Just let's give her a round of applause. Even Revolution 9. Anyway, shall we all?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are we standing here? What are we doing? We're leaving?
I mean, you could use the stairs or you could hop up.
No, I know, but we want a picture.
Hey, Mike.
Do we need a
Mike.
picture? We need a picture?
Do you want a picture?
No.
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
If you want.
No. Just other ones I've always had us turn this up.
What an energizing discussion that truly added value. A big thank you to our panelists for those eye opening insights. Now, let's shift gears and tackle a challenge every brand faces in today's fast moving digital world. Attention spans are shrinking, content is everywhere, and the window to connect with your audience is incredibly short. How can you make an impression that lasts when you have mere seconds to capture interest? How can brands cut through the noise and spark engagement that actually drives results? In selling the attention economy, why brands must capture interest in under 3 seconds. Our speakers will share proven strategies to grab attention, hold engagement, and turn fleeting movements into meaningful connections. You'll gain insights on leveraging creativity, technology, and audience understanding to make every second count. Please join me in giving a warm round of applause as we welcome our speakers to the stage. Gregory Mugnier, I'm so sorry if I'm saying that incorrect, the CEO of Axone and Partners. We have Shamir Deversu, I'm so sorry if I'm saying that incorrect as well, Managing Director of Smart Panda Labs. And we have Abhay Chopra, creative strategist and product designer at the Abhay Chopra Design Studio. All right, let's welcome them to the stage. You're in the room. Mic right up here.
All right, so
Oh, am I on?
Not sure. Yeah, I
nice.
think so.
Well, we're excited to get started with our fireside chat today. We're looking forward to talking about the subject of cultivating interest in the market and taking advantage of the attention that people have today. We know that we definitely live in an economy where attention is a premium. The number of channels, all of them kind of striving for attention constantly, tugging at people, the number of devices that people are dealing with. So it's a challenge for different companies and organizations to be able to grab that attention from consumers and hold on to it enough to move them through that decision cycle and ultimately engage and become actual customers and then retain those customers over time. And we know how much that matters because that drives key metrics. It drives not only revenue, but profitability. It drives customer retention. It drives lifetime value, all those things that are so important. So I'm happy to have Gregory and Apha with me today. Gregory, having a nice background in marketing and consumer psychology, a PhD, runs a global marketing agency that helps organizations do that, but also spends his time teaching in business schools and universities. And then Abha's background in product design, running an agency that helps with AI-powered marketing and really helping companies develop MVPs to get up and running in 30 days to be able to drive that kind of value immediately from what they're doing and leveraging AI in their organizations. So to kind of jump into what we're doing, I'll ask questions to Gregory and Ahab today and get them to share their thoughts and insights with us. So first off, we'll start with you, Gregory.
Yeah.
Why can we say that attention has become the scarcest resource for companies today?
Yeah, first of all, I'm really truly delighted to be with you today. It's a long flight for me from France, but I'm here with you, and I'm really glad to be with you today, with you guys. So yeah, we can absolutely say that. Um, Honestly, if we look at the last 10 years or maybe the last 20 years, the attention window is shrinking constantly and dramatically. A lot of studies in Europe, in America, show that the attention decrease. It's like the time spent in a piece of content now is like 5 seconds, no more. And we have a study in France, a really good study in consumer psychology, shows that now the lack of attention increased to 28% after 3 hours per day in front of a screen. So I don't know, I can ask, but how many of you are looking at a screen for more than 3 hours per day? Yeah, more. So yeah, the lack of attention increase for these guys. So so I think yeah, the trend is clear. The attention window is getting smaller and smaller.
And same question to you, Haba. What's your observations?
No, I think they are in the similar kind of cycle of what Ravi said. I think, but I also think that attention is kind of scarce because the supply has kind of exploded recently. While the demand remains the same, people have been able to create content really fast, especially using AI.
I'm
I
not
think
sure that
we're
we are.
hearing you.
Hello, hello. Does it?
Yeah.
Can turn on. No, you can create.
No.
No, you can just turn on. Oh. Dancing.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
There we go.
Amazing. Okay. Same technical problems everywhere, but that's fine. Okay. So I was talking about the same thing. I think what Gregory said, and it's in the similar lines, but I also think that attention is something that have become scarce because the supply has kind of exploded in the recent years, while the demand remains the same. Especially AI creating a lot of slop content. Recently, people being able to create content really faster. But another thing which I have also noticed, especially working with a lot of different brands and founders, is that a lot of people focus on optimizing for creating content rather than focusing on the creative brief of the content. So I kind of have a line is like attention, while attention is scarce, but the more scare thing is the reason people are kind of not focusing on their attention. So
It's interesting because we talk about attention and we talk about that very broadly as if everyone's the same, right? We talk about numbers, we talk about averages, but we know when we talk about attention, different generations, different audiences, different mindsets, all those things dramatically impact how attention is given, and even the platforms. The nature of the audience on certain platforms really varies a great deal. I'm wondering if you could speak to that a little bit, how different platforms kind of impact how people are and aren't giving attention.
for sure, I think so. I personally have helped a lot of brands and founders, and personally have created a lot of content around, especially three major platforms that are out there in the world. Is like on the video production side is like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And I've seen uh, from attention point of view, whatever works on TikTok doesn't works on Instagram, and whatever works on Instagram doesn't works on YouTube. Whatever works on YouTube doesn't works on anywhere else. And I think one of the things that I had noted down is like it's kind of this people want to create the same message, but there are three different ways of creating that message in all the three platforms. Uh, for example, on Instagram, it's very visual heavy of how do you grab the attention of people in the first 3-4 seconds. While compared to TikTok, it's about how do you give them a reason of relatability. And on YouTube, it's more about how do you engage with them in a long term basis so that they are engaged in your story, they live your story from their perspective. So I think I've seen that phase going up and down in different platforms and also in different eras as kind of AI is coming up with different ways of we can create content faster and differently. So
Yeah, so you can really see how kind of the two worlds kind of collide, right? Because it's a matter of what is it you're trying to say, and what's the best medium, what's the best platform, what's the best way to communicate that in order to cultivate and grab someone's attention. But then you also have to align that and kind of fit the puzzle pieces with, well, who are you speaking to? How do they want to hear it? How do they want to absorb it? What platform are they on? And then how do you align those two, right, to be able to ultimately have those puzzle pieces fit together and ultimately cultivate that interest and cultivate that attention and then hopefully hold that attention as a brand all the way through that customer journey and that customer process. Now, we say that as if it's just a matter of kind of doing the math or doing a calculation, but we also recognize it's not that simple because when all is said and done, we're dealing with people. We're dealing with human beings. We're dealing with the human brain, arguably the most complex machine in existence. And you really have to understand how people think and how people feel, how those interactions are taking place in order to truly be able to have an impact and grab that attention that we really want. So, Gregory, this is your field of
Yeah.
of study for sure. What's happening in the human brain as these brands are trying to cultivate this attention using the digital mediums?
um, we have to understand that attention is a cognitive resource, and like every cognitive resource is limited. Um, you know, I I heard today several times that unlike AI, brain is limited, and I think it's true. Every scroll, every page viewed, every new stimulus consumes a small part of our available attention, and when it's gone, it's gone. Yeah, we have to understand that our brain trying to preserve this energy, this resource, this cognitive resource. So in the few first seconds, the brain trying to filter out and remove what is not relevant for us, what is not dedicated to us, or what is not emotionally strong enough. We call that the subcortical processing. I don't know if my English is good, subcortical processing.
We'll take your
But
word for it.
yeah, that's okay. I can do that in French. The subcortical processing is the ability of the brain to filter out um, in order to preserve the energy. So it's for me, it's a really critical issues for brands today because we are constantly overstimulated. We're in a world of stimulation. So getting noticed is not enough today. We have to earn the permission to be seen. And I think it's the most important today.
Yeah, you say that it makes me think of Daniel Kahneman's work, right? When it comes to behavioral science, and for those who aren't familiar, Kahneman talked about this idea. He talked about many different things, but he talked about this idea of system one and system two thinking, right? So system one thinking, the fast processing of the brain, it's very reactive. So you think about someone saying, "What's 4 plus 4?" It's 8. It takes almost no time for you to do that. And if you were walking down the street and someone asked you what's 4 + 4 without missing a beat, you'd be able to say 8 and keep walking. But then you shift to system 2, which is the more complicated, the more logical, the heavier lift, so to speak, that the brain's taking. So someone asks you, what's 17 times 34? Well, we could probably get there, but if you were walking and someone asked you that, you'd probably stop walking for a second. You maybe look in the sky and you'd kind of be trying to visualize the numbers in your head. That now your brain's shifting to system 2. And as brands, we typically try to keep people in system 1. We want to make this as easy as possible. We want to relieve that cognitive load on people. And because of that, sometimes we maybe oversimplify what we're trying to do and we oversimplify the problem. So you may have heard people saying you need to grab people's attention in the first 3 seconds. Like, that's all the time you've got. So I wonder, Gregory, what do you think about that common thought process around we need to grab people in the first 3 seconds? That's all the time we have to get people's attention.
Yeah, the big mistake many marketers is believing that is the persuasion is the key lever for message. It's no longer the reality. Today, today is the attention. What's the point of having a brilliant message, strong benefits, if nobody can stop to see it, to look at? So keep in mind that in the 3 first second, our brain just not trying to deeply analyzing everything. It just trying. We have just to try to increase the willingness to stop scrolling. That's the point. I like the willingness to. It's the when I teach or when I'm with my clients, I always ask, what's the main objective for you? And they always say selling products, selling service. I'm not sure about that. For me, it's not that. It's not selling something. It's the willingness to. Willingness to pay more for your product than competitors, or willingness to waiting for the new products in order to buy a product for competitors. Anyway, so yeah, that for me the main objective is the willingness to stop scrolling, and so it's really it's a big challenge. It's a huge challenge. I figured with a simple way, a simple image. Imagine people are running, and you ask your role is that they have to stop instantly. It's a physical effort. It's to stop instantly, and for the brain is the same. For the brain is really the same. So yeah, for me the attention is the most important. You have to capture the attention. It's a really huge effort for the brain, and you have to find a way to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that this section, this session, this fireside chat that we're having isn't about cultivating the sale. It's about cultivating interest, right? It's just about getting that initial hook, right? First, you've got to get the person to stop scrolling. Then you've got them to get them to click. Then you've got to get them to understand the information is relevant, right? There's so many little kind of small wins that you have to make where you have to consistently hold their attention to get them all the way through that decision-making cycle. So you can really see how kind of sometimes we get a little bit too narrow-minded about it, right? And we focus on that first 3 seconds and we don't think about what about the next 3 and the 3 after that. Abha, I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
No, I think I have the similar thoughts of what Gregory said. I think one of the practical ways I would say we have at least tried to do that is bring relevance on the table of how do you show them that this is for them in the technically in the first few seconds, but in the overall video as well, and that's very important. And how do you bring them in that story? How do you bring them that they are living that story? That's really important, and that doesn't that just kind of talks about what you also said, right? It's not about we are trying to sell something. It's about we're trying to make them show a promise like this is for you, and like keep watching, and it's gonna eventually come out to be true or whatever. So I think that's what I've tried to figure out. One of the interesting facts that I've seen, at least with my projects, is that whenever I've had like multiple broad hooks for like different videos, they haven't worked really well. But if I have done one specific hook for a specific niche audience, it has blown up. So I've seen like relevance is more about capturing attention or emotional sentiment of a specific audience as compared to trying multiple broad hooks and doesn't get the result.
I wonder, in your experience, how if you had to boil it down, and I know this is tricky, this is a bit of a broad question, but if you had to boil it down, what are the kind of the three big mistakes you see brands make in trying to kind of grab and cultivate that attention?
Uh, no, I think it's one of the biggest mistakes, as I said earlier as well. I think it's more about we have been trying to use AI for the content part of it as compared to figuring out the human sentiment part of it, of what we want to achieve from that video, what feeling we want to achieve from that video. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes, that we are focusing more on the production rather than the pre-production part of it. I think another one would be, a lot of times it's similar to what I said. Like, we over script, we over analyze a lot of those things. Well, it could be really simple as, hey, this is for you. Like, a lot of time this also works. So I think uh, over analyzing a lot of things and digging too deeper into it sometimes doesn't work. And lastly, which is interesting, is like, a lot of time brands try one hook, they see a little bit of attention, and then they scale it across different platforms, while they haven't proven the message itself is, if it's giving them the ROI that they're looking for. It may have been just a fluke, and it worked for one platform, but it didn't work for others. So I think these are the three common mistakes I've seen brands do.
That makes sense. And I love your point about making sure that you're thinking about what works well for that audience, right? Really boiling down to that particular audience or audience segment. Of course, as marketers, we know the holy grail is kind of that one-to-one relationship, and hopefully we can get that one-to-one. But oftentimes that can be very challenging, very hard, especially to do at scale. But if we can at least get people into audience segments, audience groups, and speak intelligently to those segments and groups, we can often see, multiple X increase in engagement, in moving people down the funnel, because we're increasing relevancy to such a strong degree. So in thinking about that, what are kind of, and this question is for you, Gregory, what are kind of those key principles, those key takeaways in terms of what we should be doing? What's the framework that we can use to begin to grab attention as marketers?
First of all, you don't have to think about how can you make attention, how you create attention. First of all, you have to think about where and when. It's the most important, because you have to understand where, when, and where the audience has the highest level of attention. You can have a brilliant message, if it's not the right place and the right moment, it's not working. So yeah, it could be obvious, because of course we have to know about the audience, the journey, but sometimes when you think it's obvious, you forget it. So yeah, I think the first moment is where and when.
Gotcha.
When you can keep the capture. And oh, I think it's better now, right? I saw, yeah. The second is, you say database. We have to create value. That is really important, the value. Sometimes I say to my team, fuck the algorithm and the social media. Fuck the algorithm. I prefer value more value, more relevant, and less frequency or less repetition than the opposite. So yeah, we have to create value, and create value for the audience is also, and you say that, it's also relevant to us. So it's create a sense of identification with the audience. We call that the self-brand connection, the connection between the identity of the consumers and the image of the brand. It's important. And when you have a self-brand connection, you have attachment, you have connection, you have commitment, and you have attention. So yeah, it's the other one, and it's the good one.
Definitely.
Maybe I'll have a third one, the emotion. I know that emotion for you is also important, but emotion act as an accelerator of attention and memorization. I'm not American. I was young, but I remember the 11th of September in 2001. It was the afternoon. I remember with who. I remember when. I remember when I get dressed, where I get dressed, and I think because the real connection between memorization and emotion, and it's the same for attention. When you have emotion, you trigger hormones, and it's like a shortcuts in your brains that create attention, memorization, behaviors before analyzing the situation. So emotion is really a good hook to create attention.
Definitely. And Alpa, please.
No, I think he definitely put out a lot of points. I think I have another point which is very interesting. I recently heard from the Instagram CEO Adam. He said, uh, especially in the world of uh, AI being able to create a lot of different stuff, how do you how do you stand out? So the way he put that perspective is like, it's not about can you create something, it's about can you create something only you can create.
Mhm.
How do you bring that authenticity? And because I think in this world where a lot of AI polished stuff is out there, bringing a genuine original point of view is interesting and very scarce. I think that is something I think I've taken across, not just on Instagram, but like across creating content, written or like visual or whatever.
I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I think one of the key takeaways that's really come across here for everyone, for us here and for the audience is really the importance of who you're speaking to, because all the things that we've talked about, building value, having emotion, all those things become easier to do, differentiation, all those things become easier to do when you narrow your audience. Oftentimes we're trying to boil the ocean. We want to sell to everyone. We want to sell to everything. But if we really think about the most successful brands, I've always believed they're both dearly loved and they're dearly hated. I mean, there are people who love Apple and will buy nothing else. There are people who detest Apple and will never buy an Apple product. And that's fine. Um, Southwest Airlines, people love Southwest Airlines, people hate Southwest Airlines, and that's fine. They Both those brands have come to the conclusion we are not for everyone. So we are going to drive for the audience that we're speaking to. And for the other people, we're not worried about them. We're not trying to grab their attention, right? But because of that, both those brands are able to have a deeper emotional connection. Both those brands have an easier job communicating their value because they're not trying to communicate their value to, 8 billion people across the planet. They have a particular audience they're trying to communicate their value to. So, the points that you're both making really resonate with that because it's easier to get that emotional hook. It's easier to communicate that value. It's easier to stand out as different when you're trying to do it to a particular group of people instead of trying to do it for everyone across the world. So I think that's really something to really take away from this. Let me ask you, Abha, what other advice would you give as kind of marketers begin to continue to move forward, as things continue to evolve and change, the market is shifting, consumers are shifting? What other advice would you give in terms of making sure that we cultivate attention moving forward?
I think it boils down to what you just said. I think it's about it's about it's about figuring out who you are creating content for.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the bare bone structure of it. I think if you have not figured that out, whether that be, and I think also another piece is not just about creating a persona or something. It's about figuring out what are the sentiments that you want them to feel, what are the feelings, and how does that dial down to what are the relatability points that you can bring from your product or stuff. Uh, and lastly, I think that's more of a practical tip. I think I figured out AI is really good at creating the piece, and everybody knows that. And you can do that. You can trial and error, but you will get to a point where it's creating amazing content.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about how do you go before that, like pre-production? How do you figure out using AI the sentiments of it? How do you
Mm-hmm.
test those things faster? And I think that's where the AI can be used nicely, is how do you test those things faster before you even jump and kind of scale that across different platforms? I think these 2 points that I would put out.
I love that point. It's so important to continue to iterate, right? To recognize that because the market and because consumers are constantly in flux, that brands need to have a bit of a flywheel in place to keep them also moving, iterating and changing, experimenting and learning, so that they're constantly kind of able to move and twist and turn to make sure they're keeping up with the market and keeping up with those changes. But as we kind of mentioned toward the very beginning, these are still people we're dealing with. These are humans. I wonder if you could maybe Gregory kind of take us home with the human aspect of this in terms of what we're trying to do again from a mental aspect in terms of trying to grab attention.
Oh, yeah, I call that the five filter of mental attention.
Mm-hmm.
Is the brain in just few seconds can just ask some question. Is the message for you? Or is the message for me? Do I gain something, or do I feel something? Is it credible, and is it unique? So if the brain can ask these five questions, we have to ask us before you create the hook or the message. We have to ask himself or ourselves these five kind of question and say and yeah, respond to that for the message, and it's like an evaluation of your message of your hook. But I would like to add something about what you say for the audience and the identification of the audience. You know, for me, when we create companies, we create the companies for us. But when we create brands, we create a brand for them, for the audience. So that's why we have to speak not about the brand, but about what the brand brings to them. What about the brand can share values with them. So we have to know the audience for that also, and we can create connection and attention for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that really brings it home into the importance of all of this. Everything that we're doing, everything that we were talking about, really at the conference, right, really comes down to the intelligence that's brought to the table in terms of understanding the consumer and meeting them where they're at, and allowing our understanding of the consumer to drive the things that we're doing to grab attention, right? Understanding them so we understand what are those emotional hooks, what brings them value, how can we stand out as different to them, what are we offering them that actually kind of meets their need, right? And that really starts with that research and that consumer intelligence that kind of feeds everything that we're doing. We push it back out to the marketplace, we learn from their reaction, and then we start that cycle over again. That's that same flywheel that we kind of talked about. I know we wanted to leave a little time for questions in case anyone had any questions, so we can do that now if anyone had any questions for any of us. Don't everyone raise your hand at once. If not, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here today. We
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you, guys.
That would be great. And then they'll grab it for the next speaker. All right, that was truly an engaging discussion. A big thank you to our speakers for sharing such valuable perspectives. As technology evolves at lightning speed, one thing's become more clear. Tools and systems are only as effective as the people who use and rely on them. When innovations are designed without considering human needs, the results can be confusing, ineffective, or even harmful. The real challenge lies in creating solutions that people not only understand, but trust, adopt, and benefit from. This balance between cutting edge capability and practical usability is where the real impact happens. In this next section, human-centered AI in the age of technical advancements, our panelists will share actionable insights into designing smarter, more ethical, and more intuitive systems. They'll explore approaches that prioritize human experience, protect well being, and ensure that technological progress truly serves people. Let's give a warm round of applause to our panelists as they come up here on the stage and take over. Let's give a round of applause to, and I apologize if I'm saying any of these names incorrectly, Kao Anderson Almeida, who's the Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer at Opto Creative Lab Incorporated. We have Sankar Ganesh S., Technical Director at the UTH Dev Holding Software Services India PVT Limited. We also have, and I'm sorry about this name, Abhishek Kumar, Director of IT Solutions at Icon MA LLC. We also have Rishi Narula, Senior Project Marketing Manager at Reddit. We also have Abhay Chopra, Creative Strategist and Product Designer at the Abhay Chopra Design Studio. We also are welcoming Jonathan Cummings, Alliance Manager at Nava PBC. And then last but not least, and I apologize about this name, Nagaswara Rao Korlapara, and we also have Mode Ismi. We'll welcome them all to the stage and I will let them take over.
Hello, hello. It works. Great. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I know it's a long day and we are already sitting in the evening and watching me speak rather than being on the casino floor. Even believe me, I also want to do the same thing. But yes, let's definitely talk about AI a little bit, so we can do some AI dance and see how we keep human in the loop. Okay, human in the driving seat. Okay, and that's what the topic about today's discussion is: the human-centered approach in the age of technological advancement. So I thank you all for attending this session with us here. We will try to keep it as interactive as possible and would like to call upon my fellow members to share their insights and things like that. So I'll go ahead and get the thing started. My name is Abhishek Kumar. I'm the Director for IT Solutions at Iconma. I bring over 2 decades of experience navigating the complex digital transformation and have been in the front row seats of many digital revolutions, I would say. I am a Forbes Technology Council member and a Global Pioneer Award winner by Flux Awards last year for the Global AI Adoption Advocate of the Year. Well, as we innovate these next generation solutions, okay, I am right now heading that center of excellence, okay, which ensures that we are doing so strategically. Now, there's one thing which I have learned by advocating for this technology, that adoption cannot be created in a vacuum. Okay, it can only be created by putting people first. With that being said, I would like to call upon my fellow panel members to share the insights and introduction from their side on some exciting stuff that they are working on, and would like to start from Rishi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rishi Narula, and I'm a senior product marketing manager at Reddit. So I come with a lot of ad tech experience. I've been working in this field for almost 14 years. I started working with Google, and then I've been at Pinterest as well. Fun fact: before, a lot of you may not know, Gemini used to be called Bard. Back in the day, that was like the original name, and actually, I was one of the first 100 testers when I was at Google, seeing how the AI was being unfolding. So what I'm bringing to the conversation here today is I am a person that essentially comes from a very non-technical background. And over the past couple of years, I've immersed myself into these conversations around AI to really understand the intricacies and the nuances around the technical side of AI. And as I've been delving deeper and deeper into these conversations, it has helped me understand a little bit more about the critical element in this entire equation, which is the human. And so, what I'm going to bring in and share a little bit more about is like how I have effectively implemented and set up systems at Pinterest, and also bringing those at Reddit. And how do you embed AI in such a way where you're not relinquishing the critical thinking to the AI and not substituting it, but in essence is actually amplifying it.
Thank you so much, Rishi.
Amazing. Hi everyone. So I'm Abhay. I come from a very varied background. I've been on the user experience side of stuff for the last almost 6 to 8 years. But recently I've been dabbling around on how do we amalgamate the UX human front of it with the AI. And I've seen really interesting things that have been born out of it. And lastly, I've been trying to focus more on the production side of stuff on terms of content creation and how does that works out. I've grown my own personal brand to around 120,000 followers in few months, and I've seen that how audience is interacting with AI and how they're using it, and I bring that lens from that point of view.
Thanks, Abhay.
I'm Nagesh here and CEO of Impactor Digifin Technologies. We have been developing the digital transformation suite for the banks. And initially, when we saw the induction of AI into our portfolio, we were just trying to automate things. But as we grew, it has helped us to not just automate things, but also help humans take the decisions, including me. So it has become the part and parcel of the life of everyone, be it the designers, the developers, or the testers, everyone to take better decisions with more information and knowledge available everywhere. As the world is getting more into intelligence. The way the people are taking decisions is improving day by day, and it is going to make people more efficient and collaborate them in a better manner. We have seen the improvement in each person's performance by at least 2 to 300%, and hopefully AI will be there to enable people take much conscious and better decisions than without it.
Thanks, Nagesh.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kai Almeida. I've been in the United States for 26 years. I'm from Brazil, and I'm bringing a little bit of samba to the tech. That's what I do. But first of all, before anything else, I would like to ask a solve of applause to the Tech 2.0 conference for the caliber of people and the kind of conversation they have put together. Please, please. It's- Thank you. I'm so glad we're here. And some of you, I'm seeing it, and I'm so glad to see that you're not an avatar, you're not a computer virus, you really exist. Okay. So here's the conversation. I'm not gonna talk too much about myself. I've been working in boardrooms in government institution and collaborating with some military projects in augmented reality, virtual reality, and now bringing in artificial intelligence in the mix because I believe what most people are missing is the fusion of different technologies that are empowering each other. Back in the day when Netflix and Blockbuster, oh, if you remember that, you're revealing your age.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the technology of streaming was already there, but there was not enough internet speed for that. So when that came, everything else was ready for it. So right now, with augmented reality, virtual reality, I know everybody has its opinion on it, but it's just empowering. We're building the biggest educational system with virtual reality for the Latin America market, and we are introducing technology to it. But here's what I want to bring in, and I think this is where I want to focus on. When we're talking about human-centered technology, it means we trained for 100 years humans how to be machines. We became the algorithms, we became the spreadsheet, we became the production line. And I think AI is not here to replace people, right? AI is here to take the place that belonged to the machine to begin with. So we can come back to be humans and do what humans do best, which is be creative and solve problems. So I think that when we are all technical here, and when we're talking about that, and if we can start changing the narrative and
Okay.
it start bringing awareness, this list, don't be afraid of AI and technology and innovation. This is the opportunity for you to go back to be human and do human things, right? So if we help the whole world change that paradigm, change that conversation, change the narrative, we're going to empower people to embrace the technology the right way. And the tool has never been the issue. The tool never the problem. The problem has always been clarity. Then without clarity, you don't have any strategy. And when you bring AI into the room without clarity, AI does not change the room. I was born in a house without electricity. Well, the day my dad flipped the switch and there was electricity in the house, as a kid, I was expecting the room to change, our social position to change, and nothing happened other than it revealed what was already in the room. So technology and AI is the biggest light switch of humanity, and it's been flipped. The light is on. The question is, what is it revealing in your room? The mess in the corner, the the messy data that you want to automate to amplify mass. And if you don't have clarity, and if you don't create any strategy, don't invite AI into the room because you will amplify all that mess. And that's why I came here to launch this book, because I didn't want to bring any boardroom examples. I wanted to bring humanity into the mix so we can go back to do what we do best, be creatives.
Thank you so much. So that's great. That's great perspective. Doing the human thing. Let's mark that point. We will stop responding to "I am not a robot" to the robot. Okay, anymore. Okay, do the human thing. Yes, go ahead.
So myself, Shankar Ganesh, have 17 years of experience in IT industry. I predominantly develop mobile apps. So yeah, coming to this point, I was very much 100% with Carlo about this thing. So I was trying to put my words in a different perspective. Same thing. So when AI comes up, when something comes up in the, I mean, the new invention comes up, as he rightly pointed for the electricity, when gas was comes up, okay, people afraid of using gas stoves. People afraid of using in anything comes up. People afraid, and people scared of losing jobs. For example, when washing machine was coming into the what do you call practical world, the mates are scared that my job will be lost. No, no job will be lost. The job will be refined. It will be fine tuned. You have to embrace the risk. The problem here is the human mindset. When something is coming up, should I lose my job? No, you're never going to lose your job. And the AI is not a new word. To be honest, when I was starting my work in 2009, we write a JavaScript program to generate the images as a PDF files, to generate all the data as a CSV files. And also in 2013 and 14, we did the natural language processing to understand all the commands in an Amazon product. Basically, and you just go to Amazon website or eBay website, you read all the commands about the product. There is a simple program, Java program helps you to process all the commands, and it say good. The evaluation has been happened from simple natural language processing to an AI. So now, as he rightly pointed out, human needs to do human things. So I would say the whatever task which is repetitive, for example, creating a CSV file, creating a image using Photoshop or GIMP or whatever it is, you have a new tool. You have a luxury of new tool now. Use this tool and upgrade yourself and what do you call enhance the next luxury of lifestyle. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, hi. How are you? Looking tired? Go and grab coffee. All right. So my name is Muhammad Ismail Swali Hanimi. I'm from Malaysia. So I'm a senior lecturer under the Department of Polytechnic and Community College under the Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. So I believe I'm the only official government official here. So, in regards of I got some experiences back in 2019. I was an alumnus from the MIT in Boston, um, AI related program over there. That was called Deep Technology. All right, so I have a few different perspective from these, CEOs, wannabe CEO, soon to be. All right. So in terms of academia, so AI is not okay. So I'm a lecturer. So these guys are all bosses. All right. So industry. So very, very simple. We nurture our students, then we feed them here. Okay. So uh, let rest assured, AI is not going to replace human, even though we are training our kids, our students, our undergrads. So AI is just a tool to me. This is my personal opinion. It is just to really heighten their higher order thinking skill. Some lecturers don't even realize this. They they even think that the AI is to speed up their home assignment to be submitted to their lecturers or professors. But to me, no, that's not an easy way. There is not a shortcut there. Yes, they can speed up their assignment, but in Malaysia, I'm one of the committee members there. We are doing two different approaches. First is to redevelop or to revise the framework and also the methodology of on the side of academia, I mean the lecturers and teachers, in terms of rubrics, how to evaluate and how to construct questions or any items, we call items or questions, that can really test students Do they really know how to use AI responsibly? And on another side, for the student side, we do test student on 2+1. Okay, I will talk about plus one later. Okay, two is, do these students know how to use their AI responsibly with the outcomes that they get from the AI, the result there. And then number two, do they know how to defend the outputs? Yes, we can use ChatGPT, we can use Copilot. There will be like, more than 20, 30 pages, like kind of report, even though we have already limited the number of pages, right? For the lecturers, maybe we do have lectures here. So do not exceed more than 10 pages, I would say, on my paper. But they can give me like a thesis. But there is a way, there is a strategic mechanism on our side, especially we are the committee members, how to detect and how to, clarify and to strategize. They can use, and we in Malaysia, we don't say that we against using it. And then number three, this is the most important thing that I think if these students can do, I will surely straight away give this student an A plus. And me myself, I am very, very difficult to give even an A. I'm so sorry. I'm very difficult to give even an A. Even so, B plus. Okay. My student know about me. My red pen will be like more than five, you know, pieces pen, to mark papers. Okay. Why I really count on quality wise rather than quantity. So, what are the third one? Do they know how to apply this output from the AI and go beyond that? Meaning to say, do the innovation about what you get from the outcome of your AI reports. That is the A plus from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Those were some really lucrative introductions, which ultimately also spanned across how or what's the human-centered AI really is. Okay. And thanks a lot for sharing all that perspective. So in all essence, we can absolutely conclude that human-centered AI is all about building systems that can amplify human intelligence and decision making rather than blindly replacing it. So we all have to remember that we are not replacing or not trying to even replace the judge. We are trying to replace the time which it used to take to reach to that judgment. And that's what the human centered AI is all about. And with that being said, again, I know that you all definitely shared some great perspective on that. Rishi, I would like to hear your perspective on this one, as on this whole human centered thing, what we just concluded. What are your thoughts about it?
I mean, it kind of goes back to, I mean, not to repeat, I would just say yes and to everything what my colleagues have said. The only incremental thing that I'll say is um, when we think about human-centered AI, I think the way AI has been talked about, even by big companies, even how different startups and innovation are coming up, then they talk about AI. I think they have all missed the core tenant, which is it is not the AI in the loop, it is the human in the loop. And you are essentially building everything around the human. And because of the lack of controlling or refining that narrative, there have been a lot of negative implications that have happened in the industry. We hear every day we're hearing stories about more companies doing layoffs, and the reason is like, oh, we're investing in AI. But the question that I have to those companies is, okay, I get you want to invest more in AI, but all of the people you're laying off, you're essentially giving away all of that essential knowledge and essential critical thinking, and so you're actually limiting yourself even further for accelerated growth.
Yep.
And so when we talk about human-centered AI, like I'm always like doubling down on this fact that you have to build around the human. You're not building humans around the AI. One of my general core tenets that even I tell my peers is, if you suck at critical thinking, then don't complain your AI to be sucky. So like that's kind of like the core basic tenet of it. And just remind yourself that, and people who are trying to say like, hey, we're gonna remove you because of AI, just tell them I said that. So
Excellent perspective, Rishi, on that one. And just piggybacking on that same part, because I'll relate to a recent 2026 report by Boston Consulting Group, where they are saying that 50 to 55% of the jobs will be fundamentally reshaped by the AI right alone in US in next 2 to 3 years. They also say the successful AI transformations where the value is coming from, they have given a statistics on that also, that the only 10% of the value is coming from the algorithm, 20% is coming from the technology. Think about where the massive 70% is going to come from, or is it coming from? It's coming from the people and the skill. Okay, it's from the people and the business. That's where the value, the maximum value is going to come from when you talk about successful AI transformations. Okay, so that's something on the BCG, and that's where my question to my fellow panel members are, and we can take your perspectives, that as firms like BCG are talking about this massive shift of skills and jobs getting fundamentally not, I will not say replaced, but reshaped in the next 2 to 3 years. How do you think the enterprises sh- uh, you know prepare for this whole massive change and things like that? What are your perspective about it? Maybe starting from Kyle.
I want to go back a little bit, and
Hmm.
I want to talk about how people are going to react to this. So we know exactly how the big companies are going to react.
Hmm.
We know they're going to go by numbers and going to cut costs. And I really like something you said. It's a skill replacement, not people replacement. All right. So we have to replace. If the company has to replace the skill set, and you don't fit that requirement, you're out. Not because you're human. You're out because you don't have the skill that is required today. Now I want to go back and talk about again who we're doing this for these people to consume.
Yep.
And we're talking about the microphone amplification, right? AI that amplifies, repeating it. If I start singing, you don't want that. You don't want me singing, right? But if a beautiful singer sings in this microphone, it amplifies that beautiful voice to in a stadium. If I start singing over here, you are gonna start running. It's not gonna fix my pitch. It's just going to amplify myself singing out of tune. So if we don't go back and talk to people and teach them that you got to have frameworks, what I share with them is this: you got to have very simple frameworks. Where you are, where do you want to go, what are the steps you need to take to get there, right? Do you understand that? Because if you set coordinates or GPS coordinates, but you don't know your starting location, where are you going? Now, this used to be good. I'm going to be done in a second.
Yep.
This used to be really good and enough, right? It's no longer enough because if you know where you are, where you want, where you need to go, and the steps you need to take to get there, but you don't know the triple W's, the external triple W's, where is the market is at? Where is it going? And what are the events that are happening along the way? Then you have to align your internal triple W's with your external triple W's, and then you have a framework to move forward. If any of us here is turning on the light, revealing all that mess in the room, and then we are amplifying with automation, AI, and all of these AI frameworks and LLMs, then we're just amplifying the mess. And again, if we don't create a way to alert people that they need frameworks to place them in this map, that's when they get lost. But I can care less about the big tech companies. They're paying people for that. But who is paying the John in the corner right? To sit down and look at an LLM like that tool set that we talked about a little bit earlier, right? And you put the tool set right there and you give John the tool set, and then he goes to that box and get a hammer, but he doesn't have a blueprint. Without a blueprint, John is going to start hammering the walls and just bursting pipes and turning off the lights. So, who is going to step up now for these people and teach them frameworks to place themselves in this crazy map that is right in front of them right now? The big tech companies, and we're going to keep talking about them, and we're going to, oh, what are they going to do? Oh, now, so let's focus on the people because AI will do everything else.
Perfect. Perfect. Please, maybe, yeah, because you can, Shankar, you can share your
Just to
perspective
add
on
on,
this one.
I mean, what he was saying, Carlo was saying, yeah. So the adaptation and the migration is very important. When big tech company says it, okay, we're just laying off a volume of people, okay. So from a employee perspective, okay, so I should not fall in that trap. So what should I to have to do? So I'm still saying that I'm a good guy. I can do Microsoft PowerPoint nicely. You can ask me to prepare a document. I will take 2 days to do it. The company will fire you because you need to migrate yourself. You need to adapt and you need to use it. So you need to embarrass the risk. You need to apply the AI tools. Don't get scared of the AI tools, but apply. I mean, start using that tools. Don't put everything. And I mean, I need to prepare a PowerPoint for this XY customer. Generate the what do you call the PowerPoint from a chat GPT stuff. It won't work. So you need to understand how should I use the tool, and then how can I add my unique selling point. Every employee must think that. So I can use a tool and I can have my touch. So for example, if I am preparing a PPT using ChatGPT, Carlo are preparing this. I'm sorry if I pronounce it. Kayo is preparing PPT. I'm really
That's my
sorry.
AI name.
Okay, AI name. So he is preparing a PPT using ChatGPT. The difference is how is unique my work than his work, and how can I make customer or client more impressed. So using a tool, I have to what do you call make customer happy, and the time to market is also very important. The uniqueness is very important, and the empathy is the where we are playing here. So the human-centered AI. So the ultimate goal is here the empathy. So when we preparing something using AI, we should not look for the output. We have to look them as a people whom you are targeting it, what you are targeting it, and why you are targeting it. What makes you to use this tool? So without this tool, are you able to generate? How long it will take? So those empathy point of view is very much important for an employee to work in any big companies or in any startup or even for a student. He said a student will get A plus. How? Because of empathy and making you are out of the crowd. Today, when you do a development, particularly a software or any work, okay, you have a global market is there. It's not limited to Malaysia. So a student can come from Malaysia and excel all over the world. So how can you excel yourself? That's why making use of your own empathy. So use the tool in a right way and understand. He's rightly saying that use the hammer, break the walls, not break the pipe inside the wall, which is a good actually word. So you have to understand
But that's
what
what's
you are
happening.
trying to
That's
do.
what's happening, unfortunately.
No,
And then we
that's
have to help them and say, there's a pipe there. Where's your blueprint before you hit that wall? You got to know where you're going and what you're doing. And I love what you put in, but that's when we have to stop this. I'm going to rate you by the number of a scale that I'm supposed to give you. I want to know how much humanity was in what you did for me to rate you as a human so I can get out of the spreadsheet and the old way to frame people like machines. We're not placing them on a spreadsheet. We're not replacing them on a factory anymore because it's gone. So I want to encourage all of us. They're building what's behind all of this. Look at the Joe on the corner. And if you want to profit out of it, well, build a solution to give Joe the framework he needs to place himself on the map. And so he can change his skill to be valuable for the big tech companies that are ready to hire him.
no, makes sense. Rishi, go ahead. I
Yeah,
think
I
your
just want to add a
perspective.
quick point. It's just to sort of like kind of drive the point home, which is uh, I am not surprised by that number about the 70%. And it kind of reinforces a couple of things. I think as adults, one of the things that we're completely worse at is learning. It just reinforces this fact that you have to have a growth mindset. You have to invest in yourself to constantly develop skills. And I think what AI has done is that I think those lines that were very clear based on what industry and what your occupation is, those lines have gone. Those have disappeared, and I think it's giving an opportunity for you to expand your skill sets and build your fluency in other fields that you possibly wouldn't have even imagined yourself doing it. And so that is the big takeaway. And so, like, as companies are looking at these numbers, yes, people, they're going to look at the bottom line numbers. Okay, great, I have another way to like improve this. But as an individual computer that I am, I'm seeing this as an opportunity of great. I can now invest my more time in broadening my skill set, because if tomorrow something happens to me, you know what? I have proof. I have done the work to show that I am more than capable of what I was originally hired for.
Yeah, makes
All
sense.
right. Can I add
Yeah,
something?
you please
Okay.
go ahead, please.
Okay. I would like to piggyback again from these three excellent. I would say excellent because those points they all come back to education sector. So what can I do? So I have more job to do. All right. All right. So in terms of who's going to be, shifting these people, I mean human, okay, so that they have the skill set because the industry is shifting to AI based, production and operation also that. Okay, I would like to it is not an advertisement or kind of that. It's just that we in Malaysia are working towards. We have been approved by the Prime Minister of Malaysia, or I would say the government of Malaysia. So we, as you can see in the magazine, we are working towards to be the pioneer of establishing the if I'm not mistaken, sorry, the minister, if you're looking at this recording, 38 or 39, okay, 39th polytechnic in Malaysia that is planned to be developed in state of Perak, and that polytechnic is especially focused on AI applied, I mean diploma programs. So, meaning to say that we do have currently about 37 number of polytechnics nationwide, and we are focusing at the diploma level, but we are not going to introduce, okay, before that, we do have like several courses that we have embedded one or two or maybe three topics of AI, okay, uh, across interdisciplinary like culinary or maybe engineering, but this one is one building or one campus of polytechnic that is specially built for AI applied study. So that's why when Kayu said about blueprint. So Malaysia, this is not promotional. Okay, this is just I think all nations do have this. I just came back from Tokyo. I've been speaking there. So
We're all
Vietnam
coming to
is
Malaysia to check it out.
okay. Vietnam is Vietnam
Yes,
in
we're
terms
going.
of their law, they are ahead of Malaysia. So in terms of education, we are I would say aggressively to promote or to foster in terms of AI literacy to our students. But for the 37th or 38th number of the polytechnic now, I mean the new one, maybe in 2 to 3 years time to have it ready in front of our eyes. But this polytechnic will be uh, all around. I mean, all the students there will be AI students. So to answer this question, please do take Malaysian students.
Oh,
Please.
yeah,
I am
absolutely.
so ready to send over to
Absolutely.
you.
I
Yeah,
just want to add something real quick to what he said
yeah,
over here. It's
yeah.
very important because we got government just talking in the room. So when we have government talking in the room and we have a paradigm shift, we have to take it in account uh, that before we create system to teach these people the tool. We have to teach these people how to create clarity on what is their position with the tool in their hands, right? So I suggest for the government of Malaysia to start a huge campaign of awareness to the people of Malaysia to become aware that before they use AI, they need to know exactly how to position themselves, how to create the where you are, where you want to go, and what steps you need to take to get there. And then invite AI into the room, and you come with the education system to give them what they need, the tool now, because now they have the blueprint.
So
To add on,
I have a quick request with my fellow panel members,
just
please. So because we want to hear. I mean, everybody has such great insights, and we want to hear insights from everyone on the panel. So if we can stick to like a couple of sentences and quickly deliver the point, and then so that we can get
sure.
moving to more insights and more things which you can share from with our audience, that would be amazing. Thank
Just
you
to
so
add on,
much.
yeah, just to add on a point, so when AI is bringing into the education, okay, so before he's saying that you just needs to give an awareness of how to use AI and stuff. So from my perspective, what is required after that one, the next step would be bringing up the ethical framework of what are things I needs to do as ethical stuff, okay, when using an AI tool, when playing with the AI. So when they are knows the ethical stuff during their academic level, so when they come into industry, it would be very great for the industry and they can able to succeed. That's why I says that the empathy and what do you call the human touch will be there.
Sure.
Thank
Thank you so much for that perspective. Nagesh, if you can share your perspective on how enterprise should handle this massive shift of human capital. Again, going back to the same question, what we should do about what BCG is talking about. So if you can just share a few sentences there, and then we'll take the insights from Abhay.
Sure. See, we have seen the industrialization, and next we have seen the computerization. Now we are seeing the transformation because of AI. When industrialization has come into picture, people thought that all the artisans, everybody will lose jobs. And then when the computerization came in the 80s to 90s, it was just everybody thought that this is the end of world and there would not be any jobs in the service sector. So over the years, all the notions have proven to be false. And the same comes with AI. I think the computerization was more dramatically changing than what we are seeing with AI. See, before computerization, people used to calculate numbers, and every student had calculation multiplication as part of their studying curriculum. And that dramatically changed from initially teachers and parents used to think that if students start calculating using a calculator, the mental ability would go down. And there was a restriction of using calculators in the schools or even the computers. But slowly adaptability has come and all the students started accepting and using the calculators computers. Now, I would say that it's not so dramatic like what it has changed because if you have to calculate, let's say 17 into 18, you would be calculating and multiplying and adding and coming up with the total. That is gone with the calculator. Now with the AI, you are becoming much more advanced and it's just going to enable the people to be better than what they are before.
Thank you, Nagesh. Thank you so much. Yeah, Abhay, please, if you can share your perspective.
Awesome. So I have few points, but I'll just run through them very quickly. First, I think with what Rishi said about uh, if AI is not giving you right output, it's maybe wrong. Something is wrong with your own critical thinking, and you would want to look for that. I think. And while he was talking about, I just remembered I listened to a podcast by Vinod Khosla, who's like the founder of Khosla Ventures, and he was so somebody asked him, "What would you tell the younger generation in the age of AI what they should do or what they should learn?" He was like, "AI tools and everything is all whatever." He's like, "Learn how to learn. That's the biggest skill, and that is gonna make you stay in this world, whatever change comes across."
Yes,
So
sir.
that was just adapting to that. But the question about how should enterprise kind of approach this shift in human capital, everybody has said very, very interesting and intense things. I think I have a very practical approach to this, and which I kind of share with a bunch of my uh, fellow clients or whatever as well. I think, and this is very three-step process. I think the first, especially in the leadership space, especially in large organization, it is very important to know that when leadership is not in the room, the question that people are having is like, is this change is going to make my job disappear, right? And that is something has to be explicitly talked about. Like here's how AI will take over your job, or here how things are going to be taken over by AI, how what you can do, right? Second is to not give them here's the guide to use ChatGPT. It should be based on roles. It should be very specific. It should be like here's how your role, like a financial analyst, would use ChatGPT or another AI, and like it should be very practical to their own role, or what they can use, how they should use it in different ways, different forms, or whether that be case studies, sessions, or whatever that may be. And the last, which is very important, and which I've done across multiple organizations, is like finding some internal champions in those organizations who are already really good with AI, whatever their job is, right? And giving them resources, monetary or whatever that may be, and giving them permission, budget, visibility to teach their peers how to use AI, right? And that is really interesting. So lastly, I'll just end it with one statement: is like people don't kind of resist AI. They resist the uncertainty that comes with this AI, whatever that means for them personally, right? So answering that question first is really, really important.
Thank you so much, Abhay. Rishi, any other perspective that you would like to share? Yeah, perfect. So I think if I just summarize the point here, that we have to plan a complex shift, from simple training to, upskilling, that involve to do upskilling into like a guided workflow within the daily workflows and daily processes in these organizations. We will have to foster an environment where each of the employees or each of the people or individual are coming up with their own individual AI use cases. And the moment they see that they are the ones commanding the AI, automatically the adaptability or adoption rate skyrockets from there. Okay, so that's what I would like to mention over here. I know that we have 7 more minutes, okay, left. And if I ask another question, I know, knowing our panelists, okay, over here, they are absolutely enthusiastic about their things. So I will try to just do a quick conclusion and then open it again to give some final words from our not the final words. I mean, of course, they will be doing more words, in the future, but share the perspective to the audience and maybe open up from the audience if there are any specific questions. So how I think of, or if I try to give you an analogy, I always love it because it's very important to give some analogy so that you can relate to it. Think about the advanced driver assistance in our modern electric vehicle which is coming, right? So the AI, okay, I use I love Tesla because of that. Again, no political this thing. I love because it's a technology car. It has a good technology. So the AI is doing all the right maneuvering for you. AI is making sure that you are centered perfectly in the lane. It is doing lane changes and all the great stuff and everything. But the important thing to note is that you are still in the driver's seat. You are the person in charge who is defining the destination, where you need to go. You are still doing things which is ethically right in a situation which AI might not be able to do. So that's something which we will have to always keep in mind, that we humans have to be the driver and we need to define the destination. So just to give some analogy. But with that final thing, I mean, is there anyone who want to take, like, I cannot go to all of you, but
No,
anyone
Max,
who wants to
I'll
take
jump in.
like, what is the final words that you would like to give to the audience? Rishi, if you want to share something, that would be amazing.
Sure, I'm just going to keep this very simple.
Yeah.
People, the learning never stops. Start investing in yourself today.
Yep.
And if you think, and if you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I invest myself? The answer is right in front of you. Use AI to learn new things. Uh, as someone 14 years ago, I didn't even know what SQL was. Today, I've deployed agents for my friends because they are trying to build a newsletter and automating that. So it's possible. And it took me and it literally took me 6 months, 7 months to really figure these things out. And I'm still going to invest in myself. So that's so I'm making a plea. Please invest in your learning. That's it.
We have 4 minutes. If
From
anyone is interested in asking any agentic AI questions, please feel free.
It's understanding how you learn. That's the first thing. If you go, I'll give you a perfect example. Notebook LM, perfect, amazing. You know why? Because every person can build a system for them to learn something with the way they learn best. They want a podcast, they click a button and create a podcast out of all their sources. They want infographics, boom, the infographic is right there. Though, do you want a slide deck? The slide deck is right there. So you need to understand. I think you guys were just spot on. You need to understand how you understand things. You need to understand how you learn things so you can now develop that faster. I can't do that for you. Only you can. If you learn by listening, listen. If you learn by, you know, I just said, right? So you have to discover that. That's the barrier right now.
So to make
94% of the 800 million weekly active users of ChatGPT are on the free account, and they only type in to ask most of health questions and to type something real quick. They don't use it to learn.
so to make it lighter, the main hindrance for you to not learning AI is you yourself. That's what I think Kyle is trying to say. If you are ready to learn and you are ready to take it, I mean, there are so many resources and tools where you don't have to do any investment or anything. You just get there in the evening and start doing things after your work. Like, you know, pretty much somebody was talking to me about gamification and things like that. So how you can gamify this for yourself to score points and things like that, and it's just you who can do it. Simple.
And always just think about this, that if you think about all the ideas that are running successfully today, you ask yourself, okay, why are they successful? Because they were solving a problem. If you say, hey, I have an idea, you may need to take a step back and really ask yourself, is this actually solving a problem or not?
And
Purpose driven.
understanding that the problems changed. So the only strategy that you should have is only one. It's not sales, it's not product, it's customer behavior. Understand that behavior, understand the change, how fast they're changing and what they're changing into. Otherwise, you'll be talking to someone that no longer exists. So, and then if you're talking to somebody that is learning something and they change the way they learn, then you're not teaching them anymore.
Years back, Netflix understood the customer behavior and changed quickly from selling DVDs and CDs, which were going pretty fine for them, and going into an online streaming business. But Blockbuster couldn't. Okay, and that's where they are. They have now, out of 9,000 stores which they used to have at one point of time, they have one museum store left in Oregon. You can decide yourself.
Hi, Abhishek. Okay,
Go ahead.
I just want to add up a bonus answer for that question. Okay, in the perspective of higher education, so the most, I mean, number one barrier that I usually see is that, like one of our panel members said, they just use it, the free account, to ask simple question. Like my students as well, they use free account and then ask for this particular question and to get the answers, and then they just copy straight away without referencing, without no whatsoever. It is just copy and paste. Like I said, to give an A plus, no way. To give an A, still no. B plus, no. So that's why the thing is, um, the barrier is to get the outcome so that we can be a feeder to the industries is there, because they just use it for the sake of getting the questions completed and submitted in time. That's it.
To add on for this barrier,
Thank you.
everybody thinks that AI is just a prompt engineering. You just whatever you think, just prompt it, ask it, and you get the result. It's not about learning AI with the simple prompt. There are AI has a lot of things there. How to use the tool, where to use the tool, what makes you to use the tool, and when to use the tool. That's also required.
Thank you so much for all these perspectives. Again, if anyone has any other question, we are always right outside, and we can definitely talk around. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, please. Now you can clap.
Thank you so much.
Now you can clap.
Hope it is a very good session, we believe.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you everyone for your patience.
Thank you.
All right, what a day of groundbreaking ideas and powerful discussions. We've explored everything from AI innovation to human centered design, and the energy in this room has been electric. Today has shown how much impact thoughtful technology and smart strategies can create when applied with insight and purpose. Now, let's shift our focus to the way messages truly resonate with people. In a world overflowing with content, simply being seen just isn't enough. Real impact comes when brands understand the unique behaviors, preferences, and environments of their audiences and craft strategies that speak directly to them. Connecting at the local level can make all the difference between being noticed and being remembered. In our final session of the day, how hyper localized marketing is taking over, our speakers will explore practical ways to refine targeting, improve relevance, and create campaigns that genuinely engage communities. You'll hear real world examples and actionable insights that can help your brand connect more meaningful no matter what on the market. Please join me in welcoming our speakers, Jessica Feldman, CEO of Digital Vibes Agency, and Peter Pilarski, founder of Tourism AI Network, up to the stage. Let's give them a warm round of applause.
Both. I don't know. Hello, testing. You want me to use this one? This at the podium. Testing. Hello.
I think
Turned it on.
it's on.
Yeah.
Wait, do I see battery?
The battery's low.
Battery, hold on.
This one. I don't know. Oh, can you hear me? Oh, look, there you go. That's working. Hi, I'm Jessica Feldman, the owner of Digital Vibes Agency, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about hyper local marketing and understanding if your messages are actually being seen on the platforms that you're utilizing or if it's just noise. And I'll let him introduce himself. We have never met before.
We've never met before, no.
Before today. So thank you so much, everyone, for having me here today. It's absolutely an honor to listen to all of the other experts speaking about artificial intelligence and their experience.
Perfect. And I'm Peter Pilarski. I run a marketing agency called CIPR Communications with my beautiful wife, Christina, over here at the front. And I also run an organization called Tourism AI Network. And so our agencies focus primarily on tourism, although we work with a lot of service-based businesses, local businesses similar to Jessica here. And yeah, I mean, I would just say that the world has changed very quickly in the world of marketing, and I actually look forward to chatting about how it's changed and how you're looking at the world and how you're seeing it. And what I will say is what's interesting to me about where things have changed is we were actually a PR agency before we were a digital marketing agency, and I kind of tell everybody what's old is new again. So PR is making a major comeback, and but it's also changed. So PR has changed as well. So look forward to chatting about that a little bit.
Yeah, most definitely. So, from my perspective, hyper local marketing, I think, is becoming more. Um, centralized around that authenticity that we talk about. So, something that people really tend to miss that I find with business owners in my community is they are thinking about the sale and the numbers. And I think we've all talked a little bit about that today with artificial intelligence and how are you serving your community, right? How are you giving back? So these brands will say, okay, well, I want to market to the entire nation, or I want to market to all of the state of Arizona where I'm at. And I'm like, okay, well, let's be realistic here. Where can you ship product to? Where can your service vehicles go? So you really want to tighten in your targeting, and not only just by city, but also by zip code, and going into a social proof sort of angle. So that's where the locality comes in. I have a lot of service-based businesses that have technicians in people's homes every single day, and they're not getting those testimonials. I'm like, guys, these are gold that is localized social proof. You've got somebody standing there saying, I'm super excited to have John Smith, Mr. Plumber, in my home today. They have been respectful, clean, they've picked up after themselves, they did a great job. I am no longer in crisis, because a lot of these people, they don't have their HVAC system. The plumbing's not working. The electricity won't turn on, right? And so when you're in those types of crisis situations, you want the best service company out there to assist you. And while you're there as the business owner, you want to train your staff how important it is to get the testimonial from the consumer. That's your localized marketing, right? That's your consumer in that community bragging about your service.
Yeah, and I think a really good point there is the thing about AI systems and AI search now, and what's really changed, in my view, in the world of search is, you know, Google's no longer going to take your word for it. The AI systems now, what they do is they look at your website, they look at your reviews, they look on Reddit, they look at what other people are saying about you. So what you're saying about you kind of is not as relevant, actually almost irrelevant,
Yeah.
actually. And so to your point is getting those reviews, getting people talking about you, getting people to talk positively about you, and actually becoming what we talk a lot about as digital authority, and really becoming the authority digitally. And then also kind of everything that you say about yourself, making sure that your target audience, your customers are saying similar things, right? So to your point about the local plumber or the carpenter or whatever, if your customers are the ones saying, so and so plumber is amazing and they saved me and they did this and they did this, they did that, they're very reliable. That means way more now than anything you can possibly say about yourself on your own website. So to me, websites are very important still, because that's where you have to own your own authority and you have to show people your depth and your experience. But really, I would say more important now is really kind of what others are saying about you. And that's kind of when I talk about what's old is new, and the importance of PR and digital PR and things like that is also editorial credibility. So if the local newspaper's talking about you, or if the local charity's talking about the work you do as a charitable, or, as a charitable business, et cetera, that's what's going to move the needle for your marketing. So it's just gone way beyond sort of this self-serving me marketing. That's just no longer going to cut it. Is that kind of what you're seeing?
Yeah, to your point, I think other people have mentioned like a trifecta scenario, and that's how AI is working. So you have your classical SEO, search engine optimization, you have your new GEO, generative optimization, and then you have your AIO, which is your artificial intelligence optimization. So utilizing all three of those by having a quality website with the right SEO, by having the proper social proof with hyper localized targeting, and then having all the proper LLMs, the reverse engineering of the prompts, right? So I'm going to be in a panic as a consumer, and I'm going to get on my device and say, my toilet is leaking or my kitchen sink is overflowing. What's the best local plumber in my area? So you're going to want to make sure that in your blogs, on your website, somewhere in your SEO, you've touted yourself as the best local plumber. But then to his point, there's also that verification of what I use as an acronym, COW, Customer's Own Words. And so utilizing the customer's own words through all of the reviews or social media, those elements are going to position you as a leader. And then, you know, if somebody's going down that rabbit hole, you really only have the micro moment, is what we used to call it. That was very trendy a while back, right? And I think that that still exists. It's just that it's assisted with AI. So the micro moment that you might have had through scrolling is going to happen in a second through an AI producing the results of saying John Smith is the best local plumber, and here's some examples of why.
Yeah. And the other thing, I think, I don't know how much you're focusing on Google Business Profile, but I
1,000%.
It's very interesting because Google is also in a fight now. Google was the absolute dominant king of search, and now it's being challenged. And so if you think about just logically what Google needs to do for Google to survive the search game is double down in its own sort of assets and its own properties. And one of those assets and properties is the Google Business Profile, right? So Google has recently made changes to its algorithm rewarding much more putting content on your Google Business Profile. So a couple of examples are if you actually add photos to your Google Business Profile weekly, as opposed to monthly, you're going to get 5 times more visibility of your Google Business Profile. If you basically treat your Google Business Profile like a social media channel, post on it just like every other social media channel, if not more. It's probably, in my opinion, the primary social media channel
It is
for social proof
for
Google,
your business,
on Google,
correct?
right? Yeah.
On Google, yes, that is 1,000% correct. Google made a bunch of algorithm changes to their systems for your Google My Business Profile. That also includes, in addition to posting, like he's saying, very frequently, it's also your reviews, right? So it's every time those authentic reviews are hitting your Google My Business Profile. They also made a ton of changes to local service ads.
Yes.
So your LSA campaigns, if you were running those, are not as impactful now if you're not seeing the reviews trickling in a consistent fashion that are in line with your Google campaign spend and the work that you're putting out into the community.
Yeah, well, and on that point, actually, one of the recent changes Google made was around that was actually recency, right? So, you know, you might have a competitor that has, you know, 400 reviews, but if they haven't had any reviews recently, you can actually outcompete them through recency by having more recent, more current reviews. And so again, it's sort of like, to me, what's old is new again, as I keep saying to everybody. It's
Yeah,
like
we're going
you know,
back to basics.
we're going back to the basics
Yeah.
and about sort of making sure we're showing up in all those places consistently. And the other thing I think is really important is what we call digital consistency or brand consistency. And so my company is actually suffering this. So our company, CIPR Communications, has for a long time been sort of a general purpose marketing agency that has served tourism, and we've been kind of going down deeper and deeper down the tourism sector, and now we're almost, I don't want to say exclusively tourism, but if you look at our digital profile online, and I did a big audit on my own brand, one of the things that came back said is that, you know, it's really confusing. Are you a general purpose agency serving tourism, or are you a tourism focused agency that also serves other customers? And it was inconsistent on my LinkedIn profile, on our corporate LinkedIn profile, on our Meta profile, our Google Biz. They all said something slightly different. And so now we're going through and we're cleaning up our language and making super consistent language throughout on all of our profiles. And we're being very, very deliberate about who we are. And we're doubling down on tourism, and we're a tourism marketing agency that helps build digital authority, and that's what we want to be known for. And so now it's going to be about a 12-month process for us to basically double down on that messaging and be as consistent on every single platform as possible as we can possibly be.
Yeah.
And so I think the message for me around this digital consistency is be very, very specific about what you are in terms of your digital presence. That doesn't mean you can't serve other customers. That doesn't mean we can't work with non-tourism businesses. But when it comes to our marketing presence,
The brand continuity.
we got to be super, super specific,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, brand continuity is really important with your digital footprint. It kind of goes back to if anybody's familiar with this acronym NAP, name, address, phone number. So that sort of angle is now extremely important for your brand identity as well. So if you're touting on one platform that you serve a certain type of customer, you want to make sure that that's in alignment on all areas that you're listed for your brand services.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing I would say, and this is again, I'm going to just sort of put on my tourism hat a little bit and talk about Las Vegas and talk about the Bellagio Hotel and talk about this is something I'm pretty passionate about, and I think it matters across all sectors, but really understanding in every sector you have a number of different organizations that serve a number of different purposes. So, for example, industry associations, for example, the local business, for example, the Chamber of Commerce, and sort of the whole ecosystem of businesses that are in and around that business or that locality or whatever it might be. And it's really important also, the work we're starting to do in tourism is to start talking about what each entity should be talking about. And so I'm going to kind of use an example of just a very local example here is obviously the Bellagio Hotel is should be the absolute subject matter expert on everything happening at this hotel, how to get from one place to another, where to eat, everything that's as hyper local as possible in
Right, may
terms
I
of the hotel
interject really
experience.
quick
Yeah,
on
you
that?
can.
No,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what he's saying is you don't want another hotel, another entity, another brand positioning themselves digitally as
Right.
the leader for
Exactly.
your brand
Exactly.
and what you're doing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
and if you kind of take it up a notch, then it's like, okay, maybe the destination, like Visit Las Vegas or Tourism Las Vegas, whatever, they have a different role and they have different content to write, right? And so the other thing that I'm noticing is we're doing a lot of audits in tourism, but I think again this fits across all industries where there's a lot of confusion around everybody's basically writing the same content and everybody's trying to rank for the same things. And we really need to start clarifying, okay, the national tourism organization does this, the regional one does this, the local one does this, and the local businesses, this is where they need to be very, very deep
Yeah.
and where they need to tell the story as deeply as possible so that when I'm coming essentially to visit this hotel, the hotel website is my source of
Is
truth
the
for
thought
absolutely
leader.
everything. It's
Yeah.
the absolute thought leader, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
1000%. I can totally agree with that. And actually, we at my agency leverage AI to find those content gaps because the last thing you want to do is spend your energy and resources creating content that isn't going to resonate well in that locality and set you as the expert thought leader within that type of content, right? Because that's what I like to call the digital wave. That's what's going to give you the momentum to sit at the top where you're going to get the most visitors, the most time on site, the least amount of bounce rate, which then impacts your domain authority.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the other kind of important point to all of this is to try not to be everything to everybody.
Right.
And really be focused on
Yeah.
who you are and who you want to
Or on
serve.
all the platforms, as they
And
were
all the
saying,
platforms,
you
right?
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the other thing, and actually I just say this to my wife all the time too, is like also the whole Google Eat framework, so expertise, authority, trustworthiness, authoritativeness. Um, you know, everybody talks about the importance of video and the importance of this and the importance of that, and you got to be here and you got to be on this platform. And at the end of the day, if it's not a channel that works for your personality, like if you're not, I hate sitting there and videotaping myself and doing selfie videos. It ain't gonna happen. In fact, sorry, Tech 2.0 conference, I never shot my personal video. I hate doing it. It ain't gonna happen. So don't make me do it. So sorry,
You can
guys.
probably get AI to do it
Yeah,
for you.
I could. But the point I'm saying is that like it's really easy to produce content if you're using a modality that's comfortable for you. So I like talking and I like podcasting, so that's the modality I choose. And we write content at scale because I will do podcast interviews, I'll have conversations, and then we'll convert that into written content, and then we'll turn that into social media content, right? So also I think in terms of it is really important to have personalities and people at the forefront. But the way you do the marketing has to fit those people. If you try to force people to do marketing in a way that doesn't feel comfortable for them, it ain't ever going to happen,
Translates
right?
that way,
It's never
right?
going to
Yeah.
happen.
And I can recommend from my personal experience with some of my clients who are the same way, very uncomfortable on camera, not something they're interested in. We have a local pizzeria that has amazing pizza, and they really struggled for the first year in business. And I finally was able to convince him to spend a little bit of money with some local influencers. Again, that goes back to hyper locality. These people are loved maybe nationally, but that's only because of social media. They're more more embraced locally. And so if you can find somebody that's going to endorse your brand and work within that local community, you're going to reap the benefits of that. So in the last couple of years, they have gone from, just being a very small, locally loved place to always busy, top 50 Pizza USA. And a lot of that is because he worked with, local influencers, the Chamber of Commerce, all these businesses, they come in and they're like, I'm going to be the best plumber. And I'm like, cool, but how are you serving the community? What are you doing to give back? Are you investing in any philanthropic efforts? Are you a member of the chamber? Do you go to any of the city meetings? You really want to envelop yourself as a business owner in the local community that you reside in. I think that positions you not just as a well-rounded community member, but then also as an expert in your industry as well.
Yeah, and I think to that point also, I think a lot of people do a lot of things and they think, wow, that's nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I just coach my kid's soccer team, and it's like, yeah, but like that's you giving back to the community, right? And so we have the same conversations with our clients where it's like, and you have to ask the question and have the conversation over and over and over again, and really, they give you an answer and it's like you keep talking, and then after about 10 minutes, it's like, oh, you're doing all of these things in the community. You just don't realize that you're actually doing philanthropy or you're doing
That is
community things,
so
right?
true, because we as business owners sometimes, and you could probably attest to this, I don't know, I don't really get up there and like brag about myself. I'm like, oh, I did this, and I served on my HOA board, and I went to this philanthropic event, and I donate to this cause. Um, I I I have a hard time sharing all of that unless someone is questioning me and asking me, what have you done? How can we highlight that to the community to show that you are out there supporting other businesses? And that goes back to, I think someone else mentioned this a couple times. It's sort of a little bit of a value ahead of time, because a well-rounded community member is also probably a very well-rounded business owner, in the sense that they put their customers first, they put their employees, um, close up to their customers as far as prioritizing things. And so I recommend that everybody get involved in their local chambers, in any of the city tourism programs. Find out what can you do to network more locally with the other business owners that are in your community, and find out from them how they're leveraging AI and how it's improving some of their processes, or maybe how they're staying away from it. But as we've all heard today over and over, AI isn't going anywhere, and your better, well-rounded business owner, employee is someone who's like leveraging AI to help them improve their processes.
Yeah, I mean the nice thing about that too is also leveraging AI to understand how you're viewed online. Again, I mentioned the audit that we
The
did
brand
on ourselves,
continuity.
and the audit was clear. It was like it's unclear what you guys are exactly are, right? And so I recommend for everybody is you know put your website into an AI tool and just ask it some questions.
Yeah.
Hey, what is this company known for?
Well,
Look across all the whole internet and tell me what this company is all about. Uh, ask it questions about your website. And that's a really good way for you to learn. First of all, is everything accurate online about you? Is your website have a bunch of information that's old? And really, how consistent you are online, right? So like the tools, I think make it really easy to scale knowledge and understanding, and it makes it really easy, like this whole geo and sort of AI search optimization and all this kind of stuff. Really, it's just about its starting point is just asking AI systems questions about your business or a business like yours. Like I speak at a lot of conferences, and I have a lot of people that are number one on Google, and then I ask them, hey, go into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever and describe your business without actually mentioning your business name. Hey, I'm a local, I don't know, restaurant that's in this part of the world, and we serve pizza, whatever, and let me know what comes up. So never mention your name, and find out if your name comes up, and find out who comes up and why they come up, right? So the tools that make it really easy, I think, to do the discovery part. And then obviously a little bit of thinking about who do I want to be when I grow up. Our agency obviously wants to be a global marketing leader for the tourism industry, and so we're going to double down on that, and we're going to focus, and I think that'll help us get there.
Yeah, I think AI has really helped all business owners be able to reverse engineer things. And to your point, I really encourage all of you to Google your business. Google it, and then that will give you Gemini, but then also leverage other AI tools. And I think that some other speakers had mentioned that today as well. My agency leverages each AI model tool differently. Right. So we're going to use Claude for coding and maybe a PowerPoint presentation. I would use Canva AI for graphics. I'm going to use Chat GPT really just kind of for personal stuff.
We're
There's
not
just
using ChatGPT
yeah, there's
anymore,
too
let's be
many
honest.
hallucinations. There's a lot of just infactual data. It's more like my counselor or something, you know. This client isn't acting the way that I want them to, and here's the email that I want to send, but can you make it sound more professional for me? So each AI platform really can be leveraged a little bit differently. I don't think that there's any one. All of us here are probably pretty familiar with technology and any tech stack. Each thing is going to have its strong suits, and then there's always going to be a few things. It's like, oh yeah, that tool does it okay, but we laid this over the top of it as an integration because it does it way better over here. And I think that's where AI is. And so if you're utilizing these AI tools to reverse engineer your brand and understand where you are competitively in your market locally, I think that it's really wise for you to understand how your competitors might be superseding your services, but just in that local area.
Yeah, and I'd say the other thing, like around content depth, and something we've kind of implemented in the last 18 months or so, is the tools really make it easy to do video interviews. So we do a lot of video interviews now. We've actually hired a whole bunch of former journalists on our team, despite the fact, I mean, obviously we do PR, but we have a whole bunch of former journalists now, and they interview people all the time. And so we're capturing the subject matter expert in a video. So first of all, in terms of getting content off our clients, it used to be so painful.
So
And now it's like,
difficult.
hey, why don't we schedule a meeting and have a 45-minute conversation with you, and we'll just get you talking. It's amazing in a 45-minute conversation with a subject matter expert how deep you can get, how much passion you can get out of that person, how many different directions you can go. And now all of a sudden you have a video of a subject matter expert. You have written content. Again, you can chop it up into video shorts, into social media shorts, into, like, now all of a sudden you have 45, 50 different pieces of content in multiple modalities out of one conversation. And that's really how we can get into the content depth, and how we can start to satisfy Google in terms of their EAT framework. Also how we can start getting more video onto YouTube without it being sort of fake or feeling unnatural. Like I was saying, like, I'm never going to selfie myself and do video. But if somebody's asking me questions and wants to have a chat, absolutely, I'll talk,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that's a good way to get to the content depth piece as well.
I 100% agree. And I think to have content depth online is super important, but also remember to position yourself as the subject matter leader within your community, going back to that locality. If you're going to, let's say you join the chamber and you start going to, they usually have monthly meetings, get togethers. Find out if you can speak, find out if they have leads groups. A lot of people show up to leads groups in their local community as a business owner, and you think, I'm at this leads group, I am going to get so much business, this is going to be great. It takes about a year, maybe two, of really being vetted in your community, showing up, positioning yourself as the leader, whatever your industry is. If you're a plumber, if you're a house cleaner, if you're commercial cleaning, if you're a marketing agency like myself, you're maybe a barber shop owner, right? You want to make sure that you're positioning yourself as a subject matter leader within your community, because I'm going to, if you call me and say, hey, who's the best barber in your community when I'm visiting Arizona? I'm going to think of the guy in my leads group, right? So it's important to make those connections within your community. And I know a lot of us business owners don't really have time for it. That's why we're leveraging AI tools and all of these other things that can increase our bandwidth. But I encourage all of you to like take those moments to slow down a little bit and try to make those connections within your local community.
Yeah, and I think hyper local, right? Like, so
Yeah.
we actually, it's funny. So we live in a great little community. We're from Calgary, Canada, and we just got our kids got a haircut at our local little barber shop, and I get my car fixed at the local mechanic, and it's all like a 5-minute walk from my house, and it's
Nice.
amazing, right?
Yeah.
But like those business owners, they understand our community. And they
Mhm.
understand how to be the barbershop of the community or the auto
Right.
shop of the community.
But
And
they're also having a hard time being seen
yes,
because
yeah,
there's so much noise online.
yeah.
Like we've said a million times today, AI can crank out content like that, you know? So what are you doing to put out that valuable, genuine, authentic
Yeah.
content? Well, some of that is in person, being a leader in the community. Some of that is like you talked about having the videos. You have reporters going around and getting these interviews
Mhm.
from business owners or the business owners coming to you. And the other part that I already mentioned is getting the authentic testimonials from your customers. Look, I know it's hard to ask people, and I know it's even harder to get your staff into a mode of asking the customer, hey, I know you had a wonderful time today. Can you please just share this on a video? And we're all very uncomfortable on video, but I think it's also teaching your staff how to ask, right? It's not, do you want to take this video? It's, oh my gosh, I know you had a great time today. Let's do a video, right? Because as soon as you leave the house, you know they're making a selfie of something, doing a video. Like, so for anybody to tell you, I don't want to do a video, I'm really uncomfortable on a video. You're making videos with your kids, you make videos with your wife,
Yeah.
or you know, with your clients. So people do make videos, they do get on camera. I think it's just a matter of how you present that. And of course, you're going to have one or two that are just very seriously like, no. And that's also when you know not to cross that line with that person. You say, okay, well, thank you, no problem. Maybe your wife wants to do it though.
Yeah.
You know?
There you go.
You know, whatever you can do to get that authentic content from your customers within your local community is gold.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how we're doing for time.
I think we have about 3 more minutes,
3
right?
more minutes.
Do we have any questions? We want to open it up for questions.
Yep. Yeah.
Or what the internet thinks your target audience
More
is, right? That's
importantly,
what, yeah,
yeah.
that was the more important
Yeah.
message out of that is make sure that the message that's online really is the message that you want to be putting out there. Because if it's conflicting, then the AI isn't going to rank you as high because it goes back to consistency. A majority of why things rank online has to do with the consistency of the message. So go like NAP, we said name, address, phone number, brand continuity. If you have the strongest message, then you're going to rank a lot higher than someone who
Yeah,
doesn't.
and the problem with AI systems is that you might not even show up at all, right? Like it
Yeah.
might, if the AI systems aren't comfortable if they don't understand who you are online, they're not gonna recommend
If there's too
right?
much
If it's
inconsistency,
inconsistent,
yeah,
they're just
it's like
not
it
going. Yeah,
automatically just pushes you to the
yeah,
like garbage pile.
amazing. Well, if there's any
No
other,
other local business owners here, huh? I'm just kidding. Well, you can certainly find us afterward, perhaps. Again, my agency is Digital Vibes Agency, and we help a variety of different businesses. We work with national brands as well as local.
yeah, and similarly, we actually work with national brands, local brands, all kinds of companies, not just in tourism. And really, we're all about building digital authority. And so, really, that's everything we just talked about is all comes together in my mind in one thing called digital authority. And ultimately, if you're the authority in your industry, you're going to win online, and there's just no way around it.
I agree with that.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
A huge thank you to our speakers and our panelists for sharing such valuable insights, practical strategies, and inspiring perspectives throughout today's sessions. Now, we reach one of the most exciting moments of the Tech 2.0 conference. It is time to honor the innovators, trailblazers, and organizations who are not just advancing technology, but creating real world impact and setting new standards for excellence. Today, we celebrate those whose bold ideas, dedication, and forward thinking approach are shaping industries, redefining possibilities, and inspiring the global tech community. To present these awards, please join me in warmly welcoming Faith Contreras to the stage. All right, welcome, Faith. And then, did you want to give them the award? Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to announce our award winners. So our first one is, I apologize about the name if I say this incorrectly, Abhisarika Das. All right, welcome up. She is the CEO and founder of KLOC Technologies, armed with an MSc in Information Systems from BITS Pilani and Stafford's GSB's Ignite Entrepreneurship Program. She brings a strong academic foundation. She has led KLOC for over 18 years, building a fully bootstrapped global operation. Passionate about working with D2C brands and empowering women entrepreneurs. She transforms digital ambition into impact globally. Let's give her a round of applause. And if you wanted to say anything, you're welcome to come up here.
Yeah, thank you very much for this recognition. Truly honored and humbled. But I want to say that I have to dedicate this award to my team back in India. I think we wouldn't have come this far without them. We are in our 20th year of business, and it's all possible because of the relentless efforts of my team and the strategic partners who have made it possible. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Congratulations. All right. Next, we have Brandon Sapsara or Sapsara. What's up, Sarah? All right, let's call him up to the stage. He is the CEO and co-founder of Mission Multi Capital. With more than 20 years of experience in the investment banking, technical sales, and capital markets, Brandon combines traditional real estate fundamentals with data-driven approach informed by machine learning and emerging technologies. He specializes in structuring both active and passive opportunities with an emphasis on capital preservation and risk-adjusted returns. Let's give him a round of applause. And if you want to say anything.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to dedicate this award to my wife and my beautiful family who've been so supportive to me over the years. And thank you for having me here.
Congratulations. So next we have Ethan Matei Dimitru. I'm so sorry if I said that incorrectly. Let's call him up to the stage. He is the co-founder and board member of the Madison Artificial Intelligence Club, the first AI-focused student organization on campus. Ethan also serves as a member of the formal social chair of Pi Chi, I hope I'm saying that right, Theta Delta Sigma, where he managed event budgets and led strategic planning innovations. Previously, he completed an investments in liquidity internships at Erst Group, gaining hands-on experience in financial analytics and project management. Let's give him a round of applause. Would you like to say anything?
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to thank the organizers of this event. It's been amazing listening to all the speakers and panelists. And I would really like to dedicate this award to the 14 other founding members of the Madison Artificial Intelligence Club that couldn't be here today. So thank you.
All right, next we have Dr. Gregory Mugnier. I'm so sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. For more than 10 years, he has been the CEO of Axon and Partners, has combined research and consumer psychology with expertise in marketing strategy to help companies build strong brands and optimize their multicultural strategies. As a CEO of the lecturer in the best business schools and universities, his goal remains the same: to spark curiosity, push boundaries, and strengthen a culture of performance by blending creativity with data. Would you like to say anything? All right.
Yeah, thank you so much. It represents a lot of, for me. It's like, hard work for you too, I think. And maybe passion about my topics in psychology, consumer psychology and marketing. And love with my team. They are dedicated, always committed to the company. So yeah, thank you a lot.
All right, congratulations. Next, we have Jessica Feldman, who was just up a moment ago. Congratulations to you. She is the CEO of Digital Vibes Agency, driving small businesses' growth through innovative digital marketing strategies. She brings over 15 years of experience in data-driven marketing and CRM strategy. Would you like to say anything? All right, I will let you take the mic.
I would like to second the sentiment of thanking the organizers for this event. I think that that's fabulous. They did a really great job. It's been amazing to listen to all the panelists and speakers talk about artificial intelligence. And for me, I want to dedicate this award to every small business owner that has trusted me with their marketing campaigns. Thank you so much.
All right, congratulations. Next, we have Luke Pierce. All right. Luke Pierce is the founder of Boom Automations, where he helps mid-market companies unlock millions in savings through custom AI and automation systems. Over more than 3 years, he has led 80+ implementations for businesses in manufacturing, financial services, and professional services. A recognized voice in the AI automation space with a 23,000+ LinkedIn following. He is known for his process first approach, understanding the business deeply for touching any technology. Congratulations. Would you like to say anything? All right, take over.
Thank you so much. I'm humbled. I'm happy to be here. My chairman of the board, Kevin Pierce, is here as well. Thank you for your support, Kevin. I want to dedicate this to my newborn son, just turned a month old 2 days ago. So, and my partner Tamara, who's holding down the fort at home. So, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, congratulations. And next we have Peter Pilarski, who was just up a moment ago as well. Here he is. He is the founder of Tourism AI Network with 20 years of experience in digital marketing, communications, and government relations across diverse industries. His standout quality lies in an unwavering dedication to simplifying technology while embracing innovation. Peter's mission is to demystify the AI landscape, enabling individuals and businesses to navigate it with confidence. Would you like to say anything?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you so much for the award. I also want to thank the organizers for putting this together. I'd also like to thank my beautiful wife for always supporting me. She actually started this business and she allows me to go crazy with it. So I appreciate that. And honestly, to all the entrepreneurs and all the visionaries and all the people trying to make change in the world, you guys are making this happen. So thank you very much.
Congratulations. Next, we have Rick Egan. Rick? No, Rick? All right. We will give his award to him. And next, we have Rick Saki. Rick, let's bring him up to the stage. He serves as head of digital at Digital Results, leading an expert team of digital marketers and specialists. Based in Scottsdale, Arizona, he focuses on helping clients surpass their KPIs through comprehensive digital marketing strategies. His expertise spans SEO and a wide range of digital advertising, including SEM, PPC, display, and more across platforms like Google and Amazon. Let's give him a round of applause. Would you like to say anything? All right.
Just like everybody else, I'd like to dedicate this to my family who have supported me over all the years. Also to my team, which is back across the country, keeping things running, and all of our clients around the globe. It's because of them that these things get done.
Hey, congratulations. And then do we have Susan Bloomfield in the room or no? All right. All right, so next up we have Tyler Spellin. Tyler, come on up. Tyler Spellin, the sole proprietor and CEO at Spellin Consulting LLC, is a technical advisor and solution architect with over 15 years of experience. He specializes in aligning business objectives with scalable, secure technology solutions that drive efficiency and innovation across complex organizations. Currently serving as Director of Technology at the Government Blockchain Association, Tyler works on global blockchain and digital transformation innovatives. Welcome into the stage. Would you like to say anything? You don't have to.
Oh, do I talk to this?
Yeah, I'll switch that.
No, nothing in particular. Just thanking everybody that I come into contact with, whether I talk with you directly or not. All the mentors that I've had in my past, family and friends. Yeah, that's it. Nothing serious.
All right, congratulations. So next up we have Victor Araju. I'm so sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. Is Victor in this room? All right. Victor is the global brand director at MasterCard and pioneering Colombian marketing leader working at the intersection of brand strategy, culture, creative technology, and applied AI. His career spans leadership roles at Red Bull and AB InBev, where he advanced tech-driven storytelling. He champions marketing technology as a catalyst for transforming consumer behavior, promoting authentic human connection, and creating lasting value worldwide. Let's give him a round of applause. Would you like to say anything? All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm sorry, I did actually prepare something. Um, so I grew up in a city that has always believed in impossible. I'm from Barranquilla, Colombia. It's the city that first built an airport in South America. It's the first city that actually got the telephone rank in Colombia in the country for the first time, and the first city that actually got electricity. And I feel that that's a drive that has always gone with me and that I try to push forward in innovation. So whether it's trying to wire a full mountain to get to get a broadcast of the longest downhill race in the world, or just try to come up with the new tools that our teams need and that doesn't exist. I think like that's a drive that comes with me, and it happens to be today that is the anniversary for my city. So it feels like a serendipity moment. So thank you so much, and thank you for this, and thank you for bearing with me.
Congratulations. And last but not least, we have Dr. Wayne Liu. He is the co-founder, president, and chief growth officer at Perfect Corp, where he has led the company's global expansion and its NYSE listings. His work sits at the intersection of artificial intelligence, enterprise system, and human capability. Dr. Liu holds a doctorate from USC, an MS from Case Western Reserve, and an MBA from Santa Clara University. A Forbes contributor and global speaker, he also teaches AI and entrepreneurship at the university level. Let's give him a round of applause. Would you like to come say anything? All right.
Thanks to the organization, and I'm honored to be here. And also, I'm really grateful to be here. I mean, really grateful. Think about all the people struggling, all over the world. So that's why this award is dedicated to all the beautiful people that struggling for their beautiful life. And hopefully, we'll get world peace very soon. Thank you.
And then we have one more. Is David Macon in here? All right, David, let's call him up to the stage. Right, David, congratulations. And if you'd like to share. Okay.
Yeah, so I'd have to say, ironically, running in an AI company, I have to thank all the humans that are actually on the team, because without them, this would have never actually happened. So Clint's co-runs the company with me. So again, we have a team of incredibly talented people. Um, so this to really, even though I think my name is on it, it is. Uh, it really goes out to the whole team. So thank you so much.
Is Sonia Coleman here by any chance? No? All right. All right, so we are going to finish this off. A huge congratulations to our honorees and participants. Your innovation and curiosity are what make the world of technology so exciting. As we wrap up an incredible first day, we extend our sincere thanks to our bronze sponsors, Finite Business Solutions LLC, for making this experience possible. Your support plays a vital role in bringing together such a dynamic community of tech leaders and innovators. What a day it has been. From groundbreaking insights to thought provoking conversations, the energy in this room has been truly inspiring. And the best part of it is just the beginning. Even more exciting sessions, innovations, and opportunities await in the days ahead. Looking forward, our upcoming editions in Singapore and Dubai promise more opportunities to connect, learn, and collaborate with global tech pioneers. If you're ready to take the next step, make sure to connect with Jatin Sidhu from the 2.0 conference team, who will be happy to guide you through the next phase of your journey. Make sure to visit our exhibit booths and discover the latest innovation tools and solutions that can help take your work to the next level. Before you head out, don't forget to capture and share your favorite moments from today on social media using the hashtag Tech2Conf. Let's take the energy from this room and share it with the global tech community. We can't wait to welcome you back tomorrow for another exciting day filled with innovation, insights, and opportunities. Thank you so much, everybody.